All right, my brother, finally back on the pod, man. So good to have you on, my friend. Now, we've been chatting for a couple of minutes now, and we have not yet touched on the list of things that we're going to get into today. The first one, man, something that I've known you for, what, 6, 7 years or something like that, and I've never asked
Yeah.
you this question. And the first topic we're going to talk about is things that confuse us about Brazilian culture and American culture. You're born and raised in Brazil. I'm born and raised in the States. And
Yeah.
the first thing I want to ask you about, one thing that confuses me about Brazilian culture, I've never understood this, is why do Brazilian people feel the need to let you know they're Brazilian every single chance they get? And I know this is not everybody. I'm talking definitely online, sometimes in
Oh,
person. It's like the type of people that'll comment on a video and say, "Hey, man, Brazilian here." And then they tell you whatever it is they have to say. Or, as a Brazilian, this is what I think. Hey, guys, thanks for this and blah, blah, blah. Much love
oh,
from Brazil. I'm a Brazilian. So I'm just like, and it's specifically I know that other Latinos do that too, but mainly just Brazilians do this. I'm
yeah.
like, why do you need to like continually let me know that you're? I get it, bro. You're Brazilian. Like, why is that so important to you? I don't understand what that's about.
Yeah. Man, first of all, it's a pleasure to be back on the show.
Right. Yeah. I guess I
It's
should have
been
gave
a
you some
while.
time to
Yeah,
say what's up to the people. Go
bro.
ahead, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back. But bro, that is a very interesting topic actually. And I feel like that is something I never really thought about, but I definitely see where you're coming from. I've seen that happen like plenty of times. Whenever there's like an interaction with like an American or any foreign person, there's like the need or the necessity to 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 make it obvious that I'm Brazilian, right?
Yeah.
Uh, bro, never thought about that, but
uh,
thinking about it from that perspective, I would say maybe it has to do with the fact that a lot of Brazilians have this idea that outside of Brazil, other countries and other people around the world have this image of Brazil of like, oh, they have this amazing culture, and Brazilian people are so uh, uh, warming and so welcoming, and they have uh, they hear good things about Brazil, and when they see somebody outside of Brazil, they 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 want to seek for that validation, I guess. So, hey, I'm
mm.
doing everything you've been uh, hearing about Brazil. Hey, this is me. Uh, maybe that's one of the reasons why. Um, but I don't know, man. In my head, every interaction that I see from Brazilians with foreign people, it's always the most unnatural way possible. It's not. Hey, we're two human beings. Like, hey, I'm Brazilian, you're American. It's just weird, man.
It
And
is
I don't know
weird.
if it's just me that I just like. It's been a few years that I've had desensitized from that because I've learned English. But I don't know, man. For other people, it just seems like foreign people are just almost like animals in a way, like just strange people. Um, but yeah, that is an interesting talk, man. And I feel like that can come across as weird
It's
and
weird, bro. I'm
almost
not.
creepy in a way. Like I'm not interested. I mean, I know you're Brazilian, or you don't need to say you're Brazilian. It doesn't even
Right.
matter. I mean, what difference does it make, right? But yeah, if you talk to most Brazilians and ask them like, how do you feel like you're perceived as a Brazilian outside of the world, outside of Brazil? Most of them are going to say that, oh, people think Brazilian culture is awesome, Brazilian people is awesome, Brazilian food is awesome, which for the most part, that might be the truth, but we didn't need to like raise that flag and be like, hey, I'm Brazilian. No need for that. But yeah, I've seen that happen a couple of times. That is definitely strange.
it's
A lot of
fucking
things
weird.
that Brazilians do are strange for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's you can say that about every country for sure, but that's one that I'm just always like, well, I don't give a shit. And it's not like fuck you, I don't care about you. It's more like I don't care where anybody's from, or like you
Yeah,
only have to tell me once, or you only have to tell me when it's relevant to the conversation. You know, we're talking about different
yeah,
cultures and shit. It's like, well, I'm from Brazil and in my country, whatever. But it's like we could be talking about fucking taxes or the weather or some shit. Oh, I'm Brazilian, so I think, I'm
as
like,
a
what?
Brazilian,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, I don't give
But
a
also,
shit. Why are you telling
you
me
know what I
that?
think? You know what I think it might be, bro. Like,
uh,
I feel like you, as an American, for example, growing up, you've had, I would imagine, a lot of experiences with like talking to foreign people, talking to people that are not from America, or running into foreign people in the street or in the school, something like that. For us Brazilians, it's not that common to
mm,
see foreign people and have an interaction with them. So when they have that opportunity, I guess they make it a point of like, hey, we're different nationalities. You know, I'm Brazilian. Whatever nationality you are, we're different.
mm,
Uh, and they just want to make that clear. I don't know, but that's the thing as well. Like Brazilians, like you were the very first person that I talked to that is not a Brazilian. Like
oh
back in
shit.
2018, I think.
Yeah.
I remember I was even nervous to begin with. I was like, man, this
Damn.
guy is not from like it's not really a common thing in like the day to day of a normal Brazilian, you know. So I guess they act weird because it's not part of their uh, um, routine. I guess
Never thought
like if
about
you're
that.
very close to like maybe Paulista Avenue or one of these like Faria Lima, one of those fancy places in Brazil, you might come across a few foreigners. But in a day to day of like a Brazilian like raiz, like we say in Portuguese, it's not really that common, you know.
Mm,
So I guess they feel different or they feel weird as well when you're around foreign people.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think when I try to put myself in the same position, and I imagine everywhere I go, being like, "Hey guys, I'm American. Oh, by the way, I'm American." Well, as an American, they'd be like, "Well, shut the fuck up. We don't care. We get it. You
Yeah,
love your country. You're patriotic. Shut the fuck up. We don't care." It's just to me, it's just strange. Where every
yeah,
chance they get, they have to let you know I'm from Brazil. I'm like, "Ok, are you a fucking ambassador or something, bro? Like, I don't care. I don't care. No
they're a
disrespect. I just don't
politician
care.
or
I don't
something.
care." Like, what the hell, man? It's so bizarre.
Yeah.
So
And
bizarre.
it's crazy, bro, because Americans are known for like being one of the most patriotic
Yeah,
people or nationalities in the world, and you guys don't do that. So it's weird to see the Brazilians have that behavior because a
exactly.
lot of us are not patriotic. A lot of us have like I don't know if shame is the right word, but a lot of us don't uh, want to be known as Brazilians in a lot of situations. So the fact that a lot of people want to make it a point, that's strange for sure.
It is, yeah. What's something strange that you have found about American culture? What confuses you or makes you think that we're weird?
Oh man, something that to this day I'm used to it already because I talk to many Americans and also at work I have a lot of interactions with American people. But to this day, man, I feel like it hits me different sometimes. Is the way that you guys talk over the internet, like WhatsApp or any interaction on a chat or online. You guys seem to be like very direct and straight to the point, which it's up to debate that should be the right way. But coming from my perspective, it's just it hits different sometimes when it's like you see so many stories of like a Brazilian texting an American, and she's like, yeah, man, it was great talking to you. We had an awesome conversation. I loved it. Bro, let's do it again. I hope that we can talk again next week. I thought it was awesome that we had this time to get together and had that beer. bro, it was great, man. I hope you can do it again soon, bro. You're a great guy, good friend of mine. Love you, bro. And then the American prince is like, yeah, man. See ya.
He was
When,
like,
when
all
a
right,
Bra-
yeah, great.
yeah, when a Brazilian sees that, it's like, bro, that guy's cold. You know,
uh, yeah,
it comes across for us as like coldness in a way, like, bro, that guy don't give us a shit. You know?
yeah, I feel that. I definitely
Yeah.
feel that.
But for you guys, it's just, I mean, it's almost unconscious. It's just, yeah, man. I mean, we'll talk soon. You know?
Yeah, we're not as like romantic or sentimental about every single thing, especially if it's like a guy friend and he sent you like a paragraph about how good it was to hang out with you. You're like,
Yeah,
all right, bro, we had beers, chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, relax. So
yeah,
yeah, we are definitely a bit more straightforward with our communication, a bit more direct. And I don't know why that is. I suspect part of it, and this could be totally wrong, but when I think about it, I think maybe part of it is because we're all from such different places in terms of our overall demographics. You have people from Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, Latin America, etc., all mixed together in one country. So maybe in the past, being direct was just the easiest way to communicate with people. I don't know. I don't even know if that makes sense, but when I think about it, maybe that has something to do with it, where you just have to get to the point so this person understands what you're trying to say, as opposed to going around in circles in your normal way of speaking. And again, I don't know if that's the reason, but I do
yeah,
know when I think about my culture and the way I think as an American, I think that it's like just, and this is my personality, period. It's like, bro, just get to the fucking point here. This is like going
yeah,
on the on the reverse when communicating with Brazilians. It's like, why do we have to do this whole fucking roundabout way of talking when we both know what we're thinking? Why can't you just say it, bro? And I get like you don't want to hurt people's feelings or you don't want them to think you're cold. It's like, dude, just because I'm saying exactly what I'm thinking doesn't mean I'm cold or I don't care. It's like, this
yeah,
is what I think. And I want you to know what I think. I don't want you to have to be guessing after we leave what it is I'm thinking. It's like, hey, you want to go out for beers on Friday night? Vou ver te falo. Vou ver te falo. It's like, just say no, bro. Just say no. What the fuck?
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Vamos ver direitinho, depois te falo.
É,
Yeah,
direitinho, vamos ver direitinho. Depois eu te falo. It's like, all right, I understand what that means now. It just means no, you don't want to. Just say that. You're not going to hurt my
yeah,
feelings. Just say that. I'm an adult.
yeah. And for us, it's like, bro, he just said straight up no. Like he was mean or he was rude or something. Yeah, it's funny to see that
So weird.
contrast, man. It's so
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. But it's funny, man. Yeah, Brazilians do have that behavior of not going straight to the point or
Drives me
talking too
crazy.
much and not making their point. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've only realized that after talking to foreign people, like that more direct, clear way of communicating.
Hmm.
I guess Brazilians want to sound too polite sometimes or too like um sophisticated, that's the right word. When a lot of times, man, just say what you mean. I mean, don't
Yeah.
be rude, don't be disrespectful, but just say what you mean, you know? Um, but as a Brazilian, even though I know, even though I know that's a pretty common way of communicating outside of Brazil, if I adapt that to my communication, I may come across as like rude or cold. Um, that guy is not having a good day or something like that. Uh, but yeah, that's strange, man. That's why I think it's so funny when a relationship between like a Brazilian and an American
Oh,
uh, goes successful because it's like, man, there's so many differences. It's like in like culture and, and personality that
yeah.
it's funny to see how that can work. You know?
It's rough, dude. I dated a couple Brazilian girls, and at first, it's just like trying to get them to understand I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not trying to be an asshole. This is just what I think. You asked me what I
Yeah,
think. I'm just telling you. Like, what the fuck, bro? And it's not just Brazilians, bro. Like I'm here in Thailand, it's the same shit. It's the same kind of like what would you even call it? Indirect form of communication that they have with each other, where it's just like let's talk around this thing until eventually you understand intuitively what I'm really trying to say. And if you're super direct, people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe." And it's just like, and this is the thing, like I'm not saying everybody should communicate in the same way, but with that type of communication, you're just training people to avoid saying what it is they really think. So when they come across somebody who's just saying what they think, they immediately think he's being rude or cold or disrespectful. It's like you spent so much time around a bunch of bullshit and like political speak, saying something other than what you mean, that when you come across somebody
It,
who's just telling you the truth, you interpret it as bad. And I say, what the fuck?
yeah,
What the hell, man? Like you're the one that's doing some bullshit. You know what you think. I know what you think, but you won't fucking say
yeah,
it. It's like, how is that better? You know what I mean? Trying to protect everybody's feelings instead of just telling the truth. That to me, as an American, it's fucking weird.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's it's something about the culture, man. Because I can, for anybody listening, I can confirm that it's not like your personality in specific. It's like Americans in general have that way of communicating. Like at work, for example, uh, one of my first experiences working with like American people at work, I remember like hitting them up on like a chat, like Teams or Slack or something, and I'd be like, "Hey, how are you? Hope you're having a good day." And then I need this and this, and then they would reply something like, "Hey, so I was thinking about this." I was like, "Bro, you're you're not
Like
even
fuck
asking
me,
how
basically.
I am." Yeah, yeah. And I got and I got used to that. And then another friend of mine came around. He was a new
Hmm.
hire, and he was like, "Man, Americans are cold." I asked them how their day is going, how they are, and they don't even say anything bad. They just go
Yeah.
straight to the point. And I'm like, man, that's not really anything personal. It's just the way that it's just the way that their mind work, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I don't care about like how you are. I just want to solve this issue.
Yeah, it's like, why are we doing all these fucking pleasantries and hellos and politeness? It's like, you want something, just tell me what the fuck you want. This isn't a social event.
Exactly.
Just tell me what you
Yeah.
want, bro. I don't have
Yeah.
time for this shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for Brazilians,
Yeah,
it's like it's almost an insult if you're at
exactly.
work and like you're calling somebody on Teams or something, and you don't say like, "Hey, how are you?" Like if you just come up and say, "Hey, so I was thinking about doing this," it's like, "Bro, good morning for you as well, bro. How are you?" It's like,
Oh
yeah,
man.
it's crazy to see that contrast, man.
It
It's
is, yeah. It's
yeah,
interesting too, because even in the US, I'm sure it's like for any country, it's not all one way or the other way, but even in the US, I think it depends on what region you're in as well. Because generally speaking, like if you're in the Northeast, up here in Boston or New York or Chicago or Philly or something, or DC, they have a reputation for being a bit more cold and direct. Like they're not going to beat around the bush, but they're very kind people. A lot of good and decent people up there. They're just not going to mince words. They're not going to fucking say it in this indirect way to make you feel good. They're just gonna just give it to you. It doesn't mean they're mean
yeah,
or cold. Whereas in the South, a lot of people are very polite, very respectful. Let's avoid making a scene when a lot of times it can be perceived as like fake,
yeah,
especially if you go out west towards LA, Seattle, Portland on the West Coast. Everybody's so nice, you know what I mean? But they're fucking assholes. You see what I'm saying? So it's like
yeah,
sometimes I think for me, just speaking for myself, that's why I don't necessarily appreciate it because it's like you're performing to seem like you're such a good, warm, and loving person when behind all of that is who you really are. And I can see it. I see what you're doing. So
yeah,
just tell me what it is you're really thinking so we can just be ourselves. Why do we have to do this performance to pretend or make each other think we're such good people? If you're a good person, it's going to be clear in the way you treat me, in the way you carry yourself, and the things you say and do. Not all this extra shit that you're doing to avoid hurting some. That doesn't make you a good person. Just makes you polite, and that's not the same
polite.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, and that doesn't make any sense because a lot of times we didn't even care about like whether you're feeling
exactly.
good or not. Like I'm asking just out of like just following the protocol, I guess, because I don't really care. Um, but what's even crazier, man, is having to play that game in order to not like come across as like a douchebag or oh
Yes,
you're
bro.
rude,
Story of my life.
you gotta play the game.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the odd one that's not saying hello, good morning, how are you? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean it's just culture, man. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's rough, bro. It's rough. You said it perfectly, which is like if you don't do that, especially in a work environment, but even just in a friend group or something, it's
yeah,
like if you don't play along, for lack of a better way of saying it, they're like, what the fuck is up with that guy? Like you just immediately outcast yourself. When it's like, bro, can I just sit here? Why are you so quiet? Why aren't you talking? Which is
yeah,
such a weird question. It's like, I don't have anything to say. You just want me to just say shit just to say shit? Then you're gonna think I'm stupid because I'm saying a bunch of dumb shit that doesn't need to be said. So it's just can't
yeah,
fucking please people sometimes, man. And that's why
yeah,
when you get to a certain, well, I got to a certain point where I'm just like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna be myself, man. Like you're welcome to think whatever you want because even if I played that game, you'd think other shit about me. So it's like the people who really want to know who you are, which for general, like generally speaking, is very few people. Most people don't care.
yeah,
Whether you're warm or cold, introverted, extroverted, most people don't care and they're not gonna try to get to know you. And that's fine. That's fine. That to
yeah,
me is just a relief. I'm like, all right, well then I'm definitely gonna be myself because people are gonna think whatever they want anyway. So why don't I just live in a way where I can go home, look in the mirror, and be like, yeah, I fuck with you, bro, as opposed to just pretending
yeah,
to do. And then I come home and I hate myself for all that shit I just did. You know, it's like, no, bro, for what?
yeah. Absolutely, man. Man, I've heard a saying this day of like a random guy on YouTube said it. He was like, um, "You're gonna hear a lot of things about me. You're gonna hear people say I'm a good guy, and people say I'm a bad guy. I want you to believe both, because people have from me what they deserve." And I was like, "Man, that's it.
That's pretty
That's
good.
it. People have from me what they deserve, so they're gonna say good and bad stuff about me." And that's pretty much it, man. Like you'll if you try to play the game, just follow along, just to please people, you're not being yourself. But in a work environment, that's rough because it's just like
Yeah.
if I don't play the game, I don't get paid pretty much. So there's a financial point attached to that. So you're pretty much obligated to behave a certain way.
Yeah, and not only that, but just you don't necessarily want to be in an environment where even if you're still getting paid, you're doing your job, everybody hates you. Like nobody fucking likes you. And it's just you
Yeah,
still have to work with these people. You're there for 8 hours a day. And it's just like and so some people have adopted this mentality like I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. And so that's how they kind of deal with it psychologically. I don't give a fuck if you guys like me. You're not my family. If we weren't getting paid to be in the same room, I would never hang out with y'all. Fuck y'all. So that's how some people deal with it. But I also think, going back to what you said about some people say bad things, some people say good things, nobody is all bad or all good. Nobody has good days all the time or bad days all the time. So you hear one anecdote, one story that this about an experience somebody had with this person. It's like that was one situation. I shouldn't
yeah,
use that one story to form my idea of who that person is. That's stupid. And you're gonna have we
absolutely.
could be interacting with the same person on the same day and feel two different ways about that same person. So it's always better just like go find out for yourself what that person is like, as opposed to just like listening to stories about this guy. So, oh, I heard he was like this, I heard he was like that. It's like fuck what
Yeah,
you heard, bro. How do you know that person was telling the truth? You got
absolutely.
one side of the story. So it's just like, man,
Yeah,
it's dumb, bro. It's just all superficial. And of course, that's just how we do things. Like you're not gonna go in depth with everybody, but you just have to like develop this mentality of I just that's what I heard, but I don't know. I don't know.
yeah,
And I also don't care. I don't even know that guy. Why do I give a shit?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, how many times have you heard shit like, "Oh, that guy is a douchebag. He's an asshole." Then when you get a chance to actually go and talk to him, you're like, "Man, that guy's
The nicest
the
fucking
nicest guys ever."
guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
$100%.
the other way around as well. Like that guy is awesome, and then you go talk to them, fucking asshole.
100%.
It's like there's always two sides of the story, and there's also just a bad day as well. I mean, sometimes you're just caught on a bad day. I mean,
Yeah.
help it.
Yeah, man. You know, another thing I don't understand. I don't know if this is all of Brazil, but this is something that really hurt my heart when I was in São Paulo. Is I could not get a slice of pizza before 6 p.m. Like,
Oh
what the
yeah,
fuck is that about, bro? Especially coming from the
yeah.
US, pizza for us, you can have pizza for breakfast if you want. They don't sell it in the morning, but like if you have some leftover pizza from last night, you might just warm it up and eat that for breakfast on a Saturday morning or something like that. So, coming from a
Oh
place where
no.
most pizza places open at 11 o'clock in the morning. So, if you want pizza for lunch, you can have pizza for lunch. I went to Brazil looking on the, I don't remember the app that where you order food and shit.
iPhone, yeah.
Yeah, iFood or whatever. And I'm like, y'all don't open till 6? What the fuck is this shit? Like you can't even choose to have pizza for lunch. What the fuck is that about, bro?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
killed me,
true.
man.
Yeah, most pizza places they open up around like 6 to 7, and they don't close until 1 a.m. That's the good part.
True.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you can ask for pizza like late at night, but yeah, they don't like during like the day. Nah, it's. I
Kills
mean,
me, bro.
if you go to a mall like a place like Pizza Hut, it's not.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, something similar to that, like a Pizza Hut. You can have pizza like any time of the day, but usually like a traditional Brazilian pizza place,
Yeah.
it's always after 7 o'clock. Yeah,
But like is
but
it just
also, man, I heard. Oh, sorry to cut you off.
no, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I heard that also and you can confirm that pizza in Brazil is just a whole different kind of pizza than the one in
For
America
sure.
in terms of like flavor and then the type of like food that you'll find in it. Like what do you
Hmm.
think about the difference of like pizza in Brazil?
I can totally confirm that. I would say American pizza, generally speaking, is very doughy. Like, I mean, we have different types. So we have thin crust, which is closest to the traditional style of pizza, which is a very thin piece of dough. And then it's just sauce and cheese. We'll talk about toppings in a second because it gets wild in the US. So we have thin crust. Then we have what's called hand tossed, which is literally like they theoretically toss it up in the air with their hands. And so it ends up being a bit thicker, the pizza. The crust, there's a much thicker crust around the edge. It's personally my favorite. Then you have deep dish, like a Chicago style type of pizza where they cook it in this deeper pan. And so the pizza is typically like that fucking thick.
Oh
And
wow.
so you have different styles of pizza, first of all. Also, when it comes to toppings, I don't know many people that just do a regular cheese pizza with nothing on it. Pepperoni is obviously the classic. That's my favorite. I'm just bread,
Yeah.
sauce, cheese, pepperoni. I'm good. But toppings, man, it gets what we're talking banana peppers and green
Oh,
peppers and tomatoes and anchovies and pineapple. Bro, that shit, pineapple, ham and shit. We put like all types of stuff on our pizzas, man. And
wow.
I know Italians are just like fucking committing suicide when they see that shit. They're like, what the fuck is this shit, bro? What a disgrace. So yeah, we take it to the extreme with our pizza. And then on the other
Yeah.
hand, my experience with Brazilian pizza, it's closer to like Italian style. I've never been to Italy, but when I think of classic pizza, that's what I think of when I go to Brazil, where it's a much thinner slice or a much thinner dough. Maybe have some sauce, two or three kinds of cheeses, man, on some of the pizzas. And pepperoni doesn't seem to be that popular. I think it's more like calabresa. Maybe it's cheaper or something like that. It's much more
Yeah.
common to put on the pizza.
Yeah.
That surprised me. But yeah, and also going to a typical pizza spot in the US, most people will go to a Domino's, a Pizza Hut, a Papa John's. It's all processed food and dough and shit that they took out of the freezer or something like that. Whereas when I went to Brazil, it seems like it was all made fresh when I ordered it. You know what I
Oh
mean? So the
yeah.
ingredients seem to be fresher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was just it just came out of the oven, something like that, right?
Exactly. Or they made the actual sauce themselves or something like that with the real tomatoes and shit. And it wasn't taken out of a jar and just spread or a fucking plastic
Yeah.
bag and they just spread it all over the pizza. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
like local pizza spots in some cities in the US, but most of us eat one of the chain restaurants, Pizza Hut or something.
Very
Yeah.
processed food, yeah. Yeah,
100%.
in Brazil, they also have all kinds of stuff in terms of, like, toppings.
Mm.
but they have variations as well. Like, for example, you've mentioned like the traditional cheese one. We have one in Brazil that is like super famous, which is called like four cheese, quatro
I was
queijos.
just thinking,
Yeah,
oh man, so good,
bro,
bro.
that one is great with
So
like
good.
four types of cheese on it.
Yeah.
And bro, that is one of my favorites because it's like you get the best out of all kinds of cheese
Hmm.
in one pizza. So it's awesome.
Fantastic, bro. Damn, I want some now too, bro. It's been
Yeah.
so long.
You guys don't have that in the US, the four cheese?
Not, I don't know if I've ever seen that before I went to Brazil, the four cheese pizza. I'm sure some place somewhere in the States you can find somebody that'll do something like that. For some reason, the name three cheese pizza comes to mind, but I don't know if that's really a thing. But I have to imagine there's some place that does that, but it's not standard by any means. Definitely not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you gotta go to I don't know if you had the chance to go to a what we call rodízio in São Paulo.
But the not the pizza one. I went to I guess it was steak, different types of meat. I went to
Oh,
one of those, but not the pizza one. No.
bro, that is like the best. I like the pizza one better than
Mm,
the steak one, but it's fucking awesome, bro. When you're like, one of those days where you wake up in the morning, you don't have any breakfast, and then there comes a point where it's like 2 o'clock, and you're like, bro, I'm fucking hungry.
yeah.
You go to one of those places, man, it's the best thing in the world.
But does it?
Cause
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, because you'll pay like a fixed amount of
Right.
price, and then you get free amount of like whatever you want,
Right. Right.
like
That's what I was gonna
flavor.
ask you. It's like
Yeah,
because when we went to the steakhouse, they paid one price, and it was just endless meat. And I was confused at first because I had so much fucking meat on my plate, bro. And so I don't know if they do this in the pizza one, but they come over to your table and put this little circle on your table. One
yeah,
side is green, one side is red. And so they put it down. I can't remember which color was which, but they had one color, let's say green, and they just kept bringing meat to the table. I'm like,
yeah,
bro, you see all this fucking food on my plate? What are you doing? And so then my friend leans over. He's like, you have to turn the little circle over so they know you don't want anymore because they'll just keep bringing the shit. It never stops. I'm
yeah,
like, how are y'all making money? Like, what the fuck is this, bro? It's insane.
yeah. Bro, the pizza one, there's like over 50 kinds of like flavors and toppings of pizza, and you can have all of them if you want. And also, man, something I really like about pizza,
Mm.
one of those rodízios pizza, is the I don't know if you're a fan of it, but the uh, what's it called? Like the toppings where is like chocolate and then like with sugar on it. Because there's the thing as well in Brazil. We don't have like the traditional uh um how do you say sal in English?
Salt?
Uh yeah, yeah. Salty pizza, right? You
Uh,
have the ones that are sugary as well. Like banana with chocolate, and then I don't know the names of like candies in English, but you have a lot of pizzas
wait,
that
wait, wait.
come with in a candy style, like extremely sugary.
But without sauce and cheese and shit, you just mean just
Like,
sweet stuff.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I thought
like
you meant mixing them. I was like, what the fuck is
nah.
that?
It's like you have like a round of the salty
Uh
pizza,
huh.
and then once you get done with them, you have another round of like the sugary.
Okay, so they're
So,
basically like giant
yeah,
cookies, I would imagine. Just this big ass cookie that's cut into pizza slices. There's
exactly.
chocolate and sprinkles or whatever else you might put on something
Yeah,
sweet, right?
something like
I've
that,
seen
bro.
something like that.
It's
We have to
amazing.
have that here. Yeah, I'm sure we do.
It's
Somewhere in the
awesome.
US.
Yeah. And it
Yeah.
goes awesome with the what do you call it? The what the pizza is made of, that thing. It's almost like the flavor of it is neutral.
Oh, the
So it goes,
dough, you mean?
yeah, the
Mm.
dough, yeah. So it goes pretty good with any sugar you put
Mm.
on.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever had something like that. I've definitely seen pictures though of like a sweet pizza, if we can call it that.
Sweet
Yeah, I've
pizza,
definitely seen
yeah,
that.
that's the word
It
exactly.
just
Yeah,
seems like it seems like diabetes on a plate. Just so
Yeah.
much sugar, bro. Jesus Christ. And the other thing about the pizza rodízio is like, bro, when it comes to pizza, I'm boring, bro. I'm like, I just need sauce, cheese, and pepperoni. I don't need all this extra shit. I would be like the worst person to go with because it's like, oh, look at all these pizzas we're gonna try. What are you gonna get? I'm like, pepperoni. Just
Yeah.
keep bringing the pepperoni until I can't eat anymore. I'm
Yeah.
good, bro.
You just need like 5 to 6 slices of pepperoni and
That's
you're
it.
good.
I'm
That's it.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
you though, I guess the steak one would be better in that case. Because there's
Yeah.
so many kinds of steak as well, man.
It's true.
Yeah, when you go to a steakhouse where it's like rodízio, you're like, man, I didn't even know there was so many kinds of
Exactly,
steaks
bro.
and so many like
Exactly.
parts of the body and stuff like that.
Yeah,
It's
man. That was the first introduction to like learning about different parts of the animal that you can actually eat. Because in my mind, steak is just fucking steak. And they were actually
yeah,
educating me on all these different ones. I'm like, there you can eat all this? There's this many different parts of the animal that y'all eat and serve in this place. It's fucking
yeah.
wild. But even that, like Hojizio in general, any type of buffet style place, I'm the worst person to go with because I don't eat a lot of food. I eat like for my whole life, I eat a lot of food during the day where it's just I'm always eating something, whether it's snacks or 3 or 4 meals. I'm always eating something, but not like gigantic amounts. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna eat fucking 2 cheeseburgers, 2 large fries, and a large Coke. It's just like, what the fuck? There's no way
Oh,
all that's fitting in there. You know what I mean? But I'll eat like 4 double cheeseburgers in a day, and I'm fine, but just like spread them
oh,
out, you know? So I'm not
yeah.
like I go to a buffet, what am I even paying for? I'm not even taking advantage
It's
of
not
what
even
it's
worth.
all about. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Exactly.
yeah. That's part of the game too. Like every time you go to a steakhouse where it's like rodízio, that has to be like your one
First
and
meal.
only meal of the day. Like if you're going at night, you don't want to have lunch. You go
Yeah.
like for the first meal of the day,
Uh,
and you're like you have more appetite. But yeah, it's awesome, man. And it's actually I think money wise, I think it's pretty worth it because at the
mm,
pizza place, for example, the price you'll pay for the Bojizio will be like the same as maybe getting 2 pizzas for one
okay.
night and a half. Yeah, I mean it's worth it if you're actually hungry.
Yeah.
It's worth the money. Yeah.
What's something else you don't understand about American culture or just something you think is weird that we do?
Oh man, let me think,
On the-
bro. I'm
so-
so used to it at this point that I don't. It's been a while. I don't think about it, but yeah, the interaction thing at first, and then off the top of my head. Oh yeah, the sausage and the bacon thing in the
Hmm.
breakfast. That shit I'll never
It's
like.
weird for you?
It's just too weird. I mean, some people in Brazil, like from the amount of like movies that they watch, they get a little bit like Americanized, if that's the
hmm
word, and they do that type of shit. Oh, I want to have some bacon in the morning, but like traditional, common Brazilian breakfast is like
Mm.
just the bread. It's the
Yeah,
bread
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
and cup of coffee. You know, actually cooking in the morning, like bacon and sausage and things like that. That's not really. It's almost like, man, I don't want to have lunch. I just want to have some coffee. You know?
Mm.
Yeah. It's just
Interesting.
for us. It seems too much to have that on
Ah.
breakfast. You know,
So when do you eat bacon? Is that like a lunch food or only
a
at
lunch
dinner?
food. Yeah,
Ah,
lunch food. Yeah,
okay.
bacon for us. It's pretty much. Um. Yeah, for a lot of people, it's pretty much junk food. Like
Mm.
if you want to have like maybe a round of hamburgers, you have bacon on it. Um, like something that you'll get when you go to like In and Out or McDonald's or
Ah,
something.
okay,
For an
okay.
actual meal that you prepare at home, it's not really very common to have. Not even
Interesting.
sitting in your fridge to prepare. Yeah.
Bro, every American fridge has a fucking slab of bacon waiting to be cooked, except maybe the vegans, vegetarians. But man, it's such a classic American food, like
Wow.
bacon. And I don't even eat that much pork, but some good crispy bacon, bro, or even turkey bacon.
Oh
Even if
yeah,
you
I
prefer to
like.
do that, it's just so fucking good, man. I'm not a big sausage guy. And also the other thing that, like, breakfast in general, most Americans don't even necessarily have the time to cook a breakfast like the one that you see in a movie or a TV series. Like the stereotypical, everybody sits around the table and has pancakes and eggs and bacon and toast.
Oh
Nobody
yeah.
does that shit. The fuck? Who has the time for that? What fucking mom's getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to cook a
Yeah.
full American breakfast when you got to be to school at 7:30? Nobody has time for that
Uh,
shit.
yeah.
Maybe on a Saturday or maybe like Christmas or Thanksgiving or something when the whole family comes around, they'll cook a big meal. But most of the time, you're eating Pop Tarts, cereal. You might go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks and get a muffin or a croissant or some toast with your coffee. You might just do a fucking energy drink or something like that. I know people who don't eat breakfast. Like me, most of the time, I don't even want to eat breakfast. So most Americans are not doing that classic full spread of fucking food. Who fuck has time for that
Yeah.
shit, bro?
Now the pancake thing with like the syrup on it,
Mm-hmm.
that's a real thing, or that's like more of a movie thing in
No,
America?
yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Oh
Well, you're
yeah.
saying like it's weird to eat pancakes with syrup, or what do you mean?
Nah, it's just that we don't we don't eat that in Brazil.
Oh, you don't eat pancakes? Yeah, we
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, waffles and pancakes.
Yeah.
Fantastic, bro.
Bro,
Fantastic.
you know what's weird about pancakes is that in Brazil, if you're ever having pancakes, like there's no syrup or anything. They're just meat on it. Is that
What?
something you guys do? Like there's the the doji. You call it doji, like the thing that it's
The
made of.
dough? The
The
dough.
dough, yeah, the
Uh-huh.
dough. There's the dough, and then there's like some cheese on it, and then meat.
What the
That's the
fuck?
pancake. That's the pancake that I know in Brazil.
Nah,
If you ask
man.
any Brazilian, like
Nah.
what flavor or what type of pancake do you have, they're gonna say meat,
What the fuck? I've
bro.
never heard of
Yeah.
this before. I've never
I'll
heard
see
of
if I
this.
can pull up one for you. I'll send you on
What the
WhatsApp.
fuck?
It's pretty common. Panqueca,
Pancakes with
panqueca de carne, for example, pretty
chicarne.
common. Panqueca de carne.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Nah, I've never heard of something like that, man. That sounds bizarre. Panqueca de carne.
I just pulled up one. Let me send you on
All
WhatsApp.
right,
You're gonna,
hold up. Open my
bro.
WhatsApp.
Panqueca de carne, pretty
That
common.
does not sound appetizing. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what these look like, bro? I'm gonna see. Maybe when I edit this, I'll put this image on the screen. These look like enchiladas. When the people
Oh,
watch this on YouTube, they'll see. You know what enchiladas are, right? Have you seen those?
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Hang on, I'll send you a picture. Enchiladas rojas. They look so similar, bro. Let me see a good picture. Yeah, this is a good one. They're not made exactly the same, but
Oh, so
don't they look similar?
oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty similar. Yeah.
yeah, that's what
And
I
that's
think
the one
of.
that we have in Brazil with like cheese on it. That's
Exactly.
more
Yeah,
common.
see, like pancakes for us, it's a much thicker piece of dough and it's flat. We don't roll it up or anything like that. And most of the time it's sweet. So the idea of putting cheese and meat on top of that is like, what the fuck are you talking about, sir?
Oh, okay.
Nah, for us, it's a
Oh, so
sweet type
the
of
syrup
breakfast.
thing is always like sugary. It's
Yeah,
always
yeah, 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 for sure. It's a sweet kind of food. It's
oh
almost like I'm surprised it's not a dessert because it fits into that category in terms of ingredients and taste. But yeah, it's like breakfast. You can eat it whenever. Americans eat anything whenever, bro. We eat burgers for breakfast if we want. So it's like, but pancakes and waffles, they're almost always sweet. So then we put a sweet kind of syrup on it, and then you mix that with the salty bacon or the salty eggs, and that like mixture of flavors is just it's
oh,
fucking great,
okay.
bro.
Yeah,
But meat, cheese, and
waffles
meat,
is a common
nah.
thing in Brazil. Some people eat it.
Okay, okay.
Even that they put cheese on it for sure.
Nah, fam. Nah, bro.
Yeah. For
That's
you,
it's weird.
yeah, that's like not even making the best of it, right?
It's like sacrilegious. Like, what the fuck? Putting cheese on a waffle? But you know, because of what we do with food, like people just experiment with all types of shit. If I saw that, I'd be like, I mean, I get it. Somebody's clearly just experimenting, but it's not the normal thing. Like if you go into a diner or something, get some pancakes. and some eggs, and they come back and put cheese and meat all over your pancakes. But what the fuck is this? I asked for
Oh,
pancakes. What is this? Now it's weird because you eat pancakes with bacon, so that is meat. But what you showed me, that image, that's a completely different food for us. That's not pancakes.
yeah. Because we have, I'm not sure if you guys have it in America. We have something that we call carne moída, which is
Right.
like meat, but it's like titrated.
Yeah, like ground beef is probably what we call
Ground-
that.
Yeah, but it's not like a steak, like a flat steak.
Exactly.
It's more
Exactly.
like, yeah, I don't know how to explain it. It's pretty much
Yeah, that's what
titrated.
exactly what we call. I'm
Yeah,
looking here. It's ground beef, carne moída.
ground. Oh, yeah, ground. Yeah, that's pretty
Hmm.
much what we put in pancake.
Yeah, nah, that for us is enchiladas or taquitos or something. That is what we put beef into or some kind of meat. But pancakes, nah, man. And to be honest, most of us don't eat that type of stuff on a regular basis because it's so heavy. Like you eat some fucking pancakes, syrup, eggs, and bacon for breakfast. By the time you're done, you're just like, "Ugh,
Yeah,
fucking, you need a nap, dude. All that fucking, your blood sugar, I guess, spikes and then just drops like that. When it drops, you're just like, dude, I need some coffee. I need a nap. Like, this is just too heavy to be eating first thing in the morning. There's no
you don't
way.
even want to have lunch afterwards. Yeah,
Exactly. You don't want to do anything. Just want to lay there. It's
yeah.
paralyzing, dude. So,
But that's smart
yeah.
comment as well with like just a regular meal, like with rice and then
Mm.
beans and then the pancakes. I'm
Okay.
not really a fan of it, but yeah, a lot of people eat it. So,
Mm.
but the syrup, man,
Yeah.
I wonder how it tasted because I don't think we have syrup in Brazil. I don't think so. I've never
Really?
seen it. Yeah.
Actually, now that you say that, it's probably not that weird because I didn't realize till now I haven't seen syrup here in Thailand either. Maybe that's like a Canadian American
Oh,
thing.
yeah. That might be.
I never thought about that. It's pretty sad because it's delicious. You know, if you know what honey tastes like, it's in the same category as honey. It's not the same, but it's like that. You can
Yeah.
imagine something like that. That's what I would say.
Does it have different like flavors or kinds of syrup, or is it just traditional?
Yeah, but most of us, we go to the store and just buy maple syrup. But I guess if you want to get into some more artisanal stuff, if you're really about your syrups, you know how some people are really about different kinds of whiskey or tequila, vodka.
Yeah.
You can definitely get into that world, but the average American, it's just straight maple syrup. Yeah. I don't even know if I've ever
Um,
had a different kind, but I think they make like maybe some strawberry or grape flavored syrup or something, maybe, but I don't know if I've ever seen
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Bro,
I'm curious.
that is one of the first things that I do if I ever go to the States. I mean, like I wanna try what these guys eat, you
Yeah.
know, what
Yeah.
I see on the movies and stuff. Did you have any experience in Brazil where you were like, man, I was curious to know what that tastes like?
Feijoada and coxinha. Both
Oh,
delicious, by the way. Two of my favorite Brazilian foods, especially coxinha, bro. I could just,
oh,
I'll down like six of those fucking things, you know what I mean? And then go have lunch. That shit is so
yeah.
good, bro. It's so good. I didn't even get a chance to try like different types from different parts of the city. I only went to the ones like near the places I was staying, but my friends were telling me, you got to go to this place on the other side of Sao Paulo. I'm like, bro,
Oh,
not finna go all the way over there for fucking coxinha, bro. But yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. Feijoada as well was surprisingly good. Surprisingly
yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah, pão de queijo as well is one of those things that
another
there's
good
like
one.
specific regions in Brazil where they say is the best, like Minas Gerais and places like that.
Have you been to Minas before?
Nah, I never been there.
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
they say like pão de queijo there is like the, I don't know, man. To me, pão de queijo is pão de queijo. You know, like
All the
what's
me
the
natives
difference?
listening
You
are
know?
like, "Fuck you, bro. You don't know what you're talking about."
Fuck you, Paulista guys.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
man, that's
bro.
hilarious. I'm
Yeah, man.
trying to
That's
think.
gonna be like one of like when I think about moving to a different country.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the first things that comes to mind, like getting used to the food, like adapting yourself to a different kind of food.
Yeah,
Especially you in
man.
Thai, for example, like you're trying like the most, like if you show to any like traditional American what kind of food you've been like eating on a daily basis, they'd be like, what the fuck? How do you survive with that?
Yeah, seriously.
You got used to that, and it's I mean, you got to a point where you actually find it good food, delicious, you eat it all day. But how do you went from, "Oh, that's weird," to like, "Oh, yeah, I actually like it?"
Good question. And it's a very simple answer. The main thing was that it's very hard to find good Western food. And when you do, it's so much more expensive than local Thai food that you're just like, I'm not paying
Mm,
that for a meal. Especially when I have all of this Thai food that I can eat. And it's just so, it's ridiculously cheap, bro. Like I've told you before, some of the prices that I pay for a plate of food. It's
yeah.
just like, how is this possible? How are y'all making money? You know what I mean? But, anyways, and also I think just very quickly after I got here, I was like, let me just, like, I'm here. I'm gonna be here. I gotta open myself up and try some new foods. Let me see what these people eat. Let me just, like, try to assimilate as much as possible. So I started trying a few different things. Other things I just refuse to eat. But yeah, man, Thai food in particular is incredibly spicy. That's probably like if you had to put one word on it, it is spicy. Like people listening might think, I love spicy food. You think you love spicy food, and then you come to Thailand and you get a Thai version of spicy food, and you're like, dude, my asshole is gonna be on fire for the next 7 days. This is bad. This is bad, bad, bad. Yeah, man. Like it's to the point where if you go to a place, you order some pakapao or something like that, which is like minced pork and there's peppers and there's rice and shit. If you order something like that, which is typically spicy, and you say, I don't want it spicy, no spice, it's still going to be spicy because in their minds, for you, not spicy means just a little bit. Like to what you think is spicy
Oh,
for them is just like a warm up. It's an appetizer. Real Thai spice, yo.
oh,
I'm
wow.
talking. I'm like you're like fucking. It's like if you're not ready for it, it's like shit, bro. What the? How do y'all eat this every day? But you get used to it. Like now, I love it. It's give me the traditional style shit. But I wasn't ready for it, so it's like, yo, where you almost need to cough a little bit. It's so goddamn spicy.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
there's levels to it, right? I guess it's
Yes.
similar to, like, you've been
Yes.
to Bahia, Salvador, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a similar thing over there where
Hundred
you're
percent.
asking for, like, I think it's called carajé, and then there's an
Mm-hmm.
option for, like, quente or, like, frio or something like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
depending on which one you choose, it's gonna be, like, super spicy or just bearable, right?
100%. It's the same exact thing here. Yeah. And like even when you're ordering on apps, they give you the option always what level of spicy 25%, 50, 75, 100. Some places go up to 300%. Like, who the fuck is ordering this, bro? Some
Bro,
fucking
do you
masochist?
have
What
an
the hell,
asshole?
bro? That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, dude. How does your body process this shit? So, yeah, that's one thing about Thai food. But what I will say is you could argue this about Asia in general, but I'm here in Thailand and very rarely do I see a fat person. Very rarely. And I don't know if it's just the lifestyle, like how active they are, but I think it's because one, the type of foods they eat, and two, it's all fresh. Most places you go, they don't cook the food until you ask for it. They're not pulling it out of a fucking freezer that was
No.
like with a bunch of preservatives and salts and shit to keep the food good. They're cooking fresh foods, fresh meats, lots of rice, lots of veggies, some fruits here and there, lots of soup. You know what I mean? It's just fresh, relatively healthy food, and they're not like overeating, just eating and eating and eating just to be eating. You know what I mean? So it's like very rare you see somebody that's fucking fat. At least in Bangkok, which is where I live, it's very rare I
Wow.
see somebody that's Thai and fat. Very rare.
Wow, that's super interesting, man. Because
Yeah.
on the other hand, you have the contrast of, like, in America, it's like, I don't know if I can say most people, but a lot of
Yes,
people
you
are,
can.
yeah, either, like, overweight or obese, right?
Yeah, dude, we die from eating too much food. That's how bad it is. A lot of people will die from not. I mean, there's when's the last time an American died of starvation? Has that ever happened, bro? We eat too much food. We give ourselves diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease. I mean, you name it, bro. You name it. We're just, it's bad. So we're eating too much, and we're eating too much. It's shit food, and we eat too much of it. Processed foods, high fructose corn syrup, lots of salt, just candy and donuts and dessert and soda and just
Wow.
burgers and french fries and fried chicken. I mean, you name it, bro. It's just so much processed, salty, sugary, not good for you food. And we're not as active as we should be. Generally speaking, obviously it's not true for everybody, but we're sitting on fucking working from
Wow.
home, come home, sit on the couch, watch TV, watch Netflix, scroll on your phone. They're not going to the gym. They're not playing sports. They're not walking anywhere. Everybody has a car or a bike. In New York, you take the train. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we're just fucking fat, lazy pieces of shit, bro. Just eating shit food all day. That's why so many people
Wow.
are so fat.
That's super interesting, man. Because I think there's also a perspective of how much food is. Maybe I'm just talking shit because I'm not from America, but how much food is like accessible money wise in America?
Mm.
Like in Brazil, if you go to a supermarket with like minimum wage worth of money, you're gonna get like a month worth of food for your family, maybe. Now, I've heard stories of Brazilians when they go to the US. They're like, bro, I go to the supermarket with like 200 bucks. I buy a lot of shit. Like compared to like Brazil, if you go to Brazil and
Mm.
you go to the supermarket with
Uh,
200 bucks, it's like, dude, you get like one bag of like maybe uh some ground beef and
I
rice.
see what you're saying. I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So maybe how much like
Uh,
yeah, processed food is cheaper than usual. Like
mm-hmm.
if you get a ground beef, for example, but how accessible it is, like to the point where even like a homeless guy can go to a McDonald's and get like 5 burgers.
Yeah.
We don't have that in Brazil. Yeah, something
With
like
that, I
McDonald's,
agree.
for example, is more like an elite type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Just funny to begin with, because
Yeah.
I mean it's trash food, but there's that as well. Like maybe it's the fact that it's too easy to get food in America, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The fun thing you said about like McDonald's being an elite level of
Yeah, it is.
dining is it blew my mind when I went to Sao
Yeah,
Paulo, and it's like this is like we go here on a special occasion or some shit. I'm like, to McDonald's? The fuck?
bro.
This is your idea of a good cheeseburger? I'm
It
not saying it's
is.
bad,
Yeah.
but like so many people, their favorite cheeseburger ever is McDonald's. I'm like, bro, how many burger spots there are in Sao Paulo? This is your favorite place to go? What the
It's
fuck?
crazy in Brazil, but yeah. I remember when I was a kid, there was like one time every month where my parents would take me to McDonald's, and that would be like the event of the month for me. But like, bro, I'm going to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And after I grew up and I saw and realized that that's just trash in America, but like a homeless guy will eat it. I'm like, dude,
I mean,
yeah,
we have I guess we have to be fair. Like McDonald's is not horrible. I'll still eat a double cheeseburger and some french fries from McDonald's. It's not like the worst food that you've ever had. It's just that in comparison to what else is available, it's not like, oh, I need to write home and tell my fucking family about the McDonald's I just had. It's
uh,
not that either. It's just a normal Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's, Five. They're all just other burger spots. There's nothing artisanal about it. It's not fresh meat and bread and
yeah,
fresh cut potato french fries. It's not none of that shit. It's shit food. All fast food is shit food. There's nothing
yeah.
fantastic about it, but it was my favorite when I was a kid. Like my mom would tell you to this day, like McDonald's was my shit. Double cheeseburger, plain fries, Coca-Cola, like as often as possible. Like that was my shit. That was my shit. But as an adult, now I've had other kinds of burgers. Actually, one of the best burgers I've ever had was here in Bangkok. Some lady who went to the United States, tried a bunch of different burgers in different cities, fell in love with burgers, and came back and decided to make her own. And she uses fresh meat from Australia. They made their own bread recipe. Now they make their own bread for the burgers and shit. Fresh cheddar cheese, bro. It's dude. I
Wow,
eat
and
that shit
super
like
cheap as well,
twice, three
right?
times a week. Yeah, I think it's for the double cheeseburger fries, it's like 480 or something like that, which is expensive in Thailand. You know what I mean? Compared to what you could get for the same money eating some Thai food, that's actually expensive for a plate of food. But for me,
Um,
obviously, it's compared to what I would pay back home, that's perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember when you came to Brazil and we were having a conversation about. You were like, man, You think the McDonald's and Burger King is like the shit? If you guys ever try like In-N-Out burgers, it's like a different world. It's like a different kind of burger, right? And I'm always like, why isn't there In-N-Out in Brazil? You know, like it's the shit
Mm,
in America. Why? Like they bring McDonald's. I mean, it's super traditional, but they bring all kinds of burgers. And like the one that's very good and popular in the U.S., they don't like. There's not one in São Paulo.
yeah, there's a reason for that though. There's a reason because well, for, the first thing I'll say, interestingly, is that McDonald's in Brazil, or at least in São Paulo, better than any McDonald's I've had in the U.S. I don't know why, but it was just
Oh,
prepared better. It seemed fresher. It just tastes better. I don't know why. It's just something interesting I noticed. But to the In-N-Out thing, there's an interesting reason that even in the U.S., it's not everywhere. It's the West Coast, maybe Arizona, New Mexico, and then Texas, which only happened recently. And the thing is, even though In-N-Out and McDonald's started in the same city in the same year, or at least maybe 1 or 2 years. Um, there's like 1 or 2 year time span where between the both of them starting. Even though that's the case, they took vastly different strategies from a business perspective. The McDonald's people were thinking we need to expand as much as possible, as fast as possible. That's why they're literally every fucking where. So that's the approach they took. Whereas the In-N-Out guys were thinking we need to take the slow, measured approach, and we're only going to use fresh ingredients. We're only going to make fresh food when they order it to preserve the quality and to make sure that we don't overextend ourselves from a business perspective. So what they do whenever they're going to build a new In-N-Out, they make sure it's within a certain distance to where the meat is coming from, to where the potatoes are coming from,
oh,
so that it's always the freshest possible food. They're not fucking freeze drying their meat and sending it across the fucking planet only to be thawed out and then served to a customer, knowing that shit is not fresh. So that's how they preserve the quality of the brand and the business and the food. So their logistics strategy, if I can call it that, is much different. They want to preserve the quality and make sure that this shit's always fresh and that they don't overextend themselves and thus decrease the quality of the food and the brand and the customer experience, which
wow.
is why it took so long for them to leave California and start expanding out to different places. They're much more thoughtful with their expansion strategy, which I think we all appreciate because no matter where you go, In-N-Out is the fucking shit. Now, there are a lot of people who think it's overrated and they think we're like fanboys and they're like, dude, get off their dick. It's not that good. But for me, bro, it's the best. I fucking love it, dude.
Bro,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the best.
bro. I've seen the videos on YouTube, and I'm like, even just looking at it, it just looks different. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it looks healthier in a way than McDonald's. It looks like actual real meat and real ingredients on it, not
Mm-hmm.
processed food.
So
Um,
good.
but yeah, man. I guess McDonald's just went like the quantity route, where
Mm-hmm.
In-N-Out is much about quality and like the good ingredients on it. But yeah, man, we have in Paulista Avenue, we have the Mackie Meal. So it's like the thousand, yeah, the 1,001 McDonald's. And I ate up,
Ah, okay. Interesting.
yeah,
Interesting.
Mackie Meal, yeah. So there's like that one was 1,000. Imagine how much McDonald's there is.
So, just for the listeners, what I understand you're saying is that out of all the locations all over the world, the one on Paulista Avenue was number 1,000 or 1,001 that has been
Exactly.
built.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We call it Mackie Mule.
Mackie
Mackie
Meal.
Mule.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
It's pretty cool. Is it the
Uh,
big one that's like 2 floors right on Paulista Avenue?
exactly.
I
Yeah, that's
love that
Mackie
one,
Mule.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So good. But yeah, man, that's got to be like thousands and thousands of McDonald's and like all.
Yeah. It also is an interesting lesson that can be applied to business or anything in life is no approach is the right approach. You can take the quantity approach, go all over the world with your thing, and of course it's cheap and accessible to everyone and make billions of dollars. You can take the slow and measured approach and focus on quality over quantity and just expand slowly and still make billions of dollars. It's like both of them work and they just decided what was best for them. And I think you can apply that to anything in life, bro.
Yeah, man. It's like that saying in Portuguese. We say something that translates to slow and ever, right? Slow and always, like devagar e sempre. Like
Yeah,
you take
slow and steady.
slow and steady. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like you take very small steps, in a very slow pace, but you're always like in a steady um progress, I guess.
Exactly.
But yeah, man, to me, I'm a much bigger fan of Burger King. Is it
Really?
is it common and popular in the US or?
Yeah, for sure. It's like the main rival of McDonald's. You're either McDonald's fan or a
Oh,
Burger King's
yeah,
fan. Yeah.
yeah. I heard something about, I don't know if it's true, but I heard something about like every McDonald's, if you look around in a neighborhood, there's going to be a burger. Like it's just pretty much wherever one goes, the other goes like right after, like just to keep up
Interesting.
with like the rivalry and stuff.
That might be true. I don't know, to be honest with you, but when I'm thinking about McDonald's I've seen, you can be pretty sure there's a Burger King somewhere close by. If not a
Somewhere
Burger King,
else.
then a Wendy's, or if there's another burger spot somewhere nearby. Because what often happens in the US, especially in more suburban places away from the big city, there's like pockets, there's areas where all the businesses are. So you'll have department stores, you have restaurants, and you also have fast food joints. So there's a Burger King, a Wendy's, a Five Guys, a McDonald's, a Pizza
Oh yeah,
Hut, a this and that. It's all very close in one area, and you just choose which one you want to go to. Very common.
yeah, yeah. That's super interesting, man. Let's hope that one day, at least one, bro. I'm asking for one in and out in Brazil. Even if it's not in São Paulo, I'll get a plane ticket
Yeah.
just to give it a try, you know?
That's interesting that
Yeah.
you say that too, because by taking that approach, you're almost, it builds its own hype around whatever it is. Because so many people are talking so good about it, but you can't get
Yeah.
it. You're just like, and people literally fly from across the country just to go to In and Out. People from other countries come to the US, and if they're in California, part of their trip has to be going to In and Out. It's like a fucking pilgrimage or
Oh,
something like
wow.
that, because that's just the brand that they've built. Is it's so good and the people love it so much, and it's so scarce. It's not accessible to everyone. You're like, I gotta see what that's about. I gotta try that shit.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
pretty unique, right? So
exactly.
that's gotta be an American thing. So there's not one In and Out burger like outside of the US.
Not that I know of. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure there's only available in like 10 states or something. Where
Oh,
is
wow.
In and Out available?
I thought it was like all across the US.
No, let me see. Areas search. That's why I don't Google shit, bro. You can't just get a fucking straight answer. Let me ask ChatGPT. Hang on. List the states where In and Out is available.
ChatGPT is the new Google.
100%. California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, Texas, Oregon, Colorado, and Idaho. That's it.
Oh, wow. That's like
Any
5, 6 states?
foreign countries? No, In and Out is not available in any foreign countries. The chain operates exclusively within the United States.
Oh, wow.
God bless
That's
America.
what makes it so exclusive and unique, man.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, speaking of, man, another thing I want to talk to you about. I can't remember if we spoke about this on the podcast before, but experiences abroad. I know that you went to Argentina for a little bit and you
Yeah,
had an experience. I'm not going to say if it was
yeah,
good or bad. I'll let you say that. But in case we haven't talked about it already, let's talk a little bit about going overseas, man. Tell me about your experience.
yeah, man. Bro, it's funny you say that because I recently transitioned between jobs. It's only been like 2 to 3 months on this new job. And the one thing that I thought, like right after making that transition, I was like, bro, I'm never, I'm never, ever again opening my mouth to speak Spanish again. Like ever, bro. Like
Damn.
in my last job, it was like pretty much mandatory. Like I just had to. Like my boss was from Mexico.
Ah,
All of my team was based on Mexico, so it was part of my routine to speak Spanish. So it was one of those things that I developed not because I liked, because I enjoyed it, just out of necessity. And my Spanish was so trash, man, because I was learning as I go and not even like paying attention to my vocabulary and my grammar and stuff. I mean, whatever I say, you guys just, I mean, if you guys understand or not, I'm just doing my best. That was my approach,
yeah.
which was so different in English. and I fucking hate it, bro. Like, my apologies for anybody listening to this speak Spanish.
Most people listening to this.
Bro, I just can't. I can't. I swear, I can't.
But why don't you like it? Why do you hate it so much?
Bro, I don't know, man. The way it sounds and the way that my mouth and my tongue feels when I speak it, like
Mm,
the rhythm of the language, it's just weird to me, man. I just can't. It's just, I mean,
interesting.
yeah, it's just not really a language that I
It's
that
not
I.
real language.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. That's not. That's not. That's not what I meant.
I know that's not what you
Oh,
meant. It just sounded funny. It's like so casually, just like, yeah, it's not even a real language, bro. Fuck that shit. Oh
nah,
shit.
bro.
I know it's not what
I
you
was,
meant. I know it's
yeah,
not what you meant.
I was gonna say,
Uh,
like, it's not really a language that I ever want to touch on for sure, man. I fucking hate that shit, bro. Like, damn,
oh god.
my Spanish was so
What the
trash,
fuck?
bro.
Uh,
I'm glad that you never heard I speak Spanish, bro, because it was just,
sorry, folks. That was too good.
and I'm not,
Uh,
I don't know if it was like the combination of like me not liking Spanish with like me learning with like the worst Spanish possible, which is
mm,
like the Argentinian accent.
oh.
Bro, it was like the worst combination possible.
What do you mean the worst Spanish possible? What's so bad about the Argentine accent for you? Why don't you like
Bro,
it?
have you heard Messi speaking Spanish?
I
It's
have.
just
Yeah.
that's not Spanish, bro. That's just, I mean, the way that they pronounce words, they have their own kind of Spanish, their own kind. I remember when I came back from Argentina, there was a time frame where, like, as I was just getting to Argentina, that I was practicing my Spanish a lot. My boss that is from Mexico, he was like, "Man, your Spanish is getting better. Like, in your accent, you're getting good." And when I stayed like 2 weeks in Argentina and I talked back to him, he was like, "Bro, you got to work on that accent. It doesn't sound very good because
Interesting.
it's just different, man. It's just different." I
It's
remember
tough.
I remember listening to one of my colleagues at work speak, and I would hear a lot of um like the X sound in a lot of words. Like, for example, the word Joe, like I, they would say
Ah,
something like
sure.
sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um or the word like yeah, like already. They would say
Che
cha,
vamos. Sure. Cheva.
chevamos, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I would find it so like, where are you getting that from? It's just,
Mm.
are you just making shit up? It's just weird, bro.
No, but you know what's interesting about that is when you compare it, especially when you compare where the countries are. What's in between? Uruguay and Paraguay is in between the two, right? Argentina and Brazil. It's like right
Yeah.
in that area. Anywhere in that area, but then all of Brazil, if you look at the words that are being pronounced that way, I have to imagine there's a specific reason for that based on whoever was occupying the country when the language became standardized or developed, because you have llegar in Spanish, which most people would say je, it's a je sound, but in Spanish or Portuguese, chegar. And when they say ja, you say ja. So I have to imagine there's something related there where whenever
Oh,
you in Portuguese have that ch and it's a sh, for them it's two l's and it's a sh. It's a, instead of a y sound, it's a sh. And whenever you would say ja ja, for example, for them it's more of a sh sound. And that really only happens in that area of Latin America, Brazil,
yeah.
Uruguay, and then Argentina, where it's not the same in Spanish and Portuguese, but certain sounds are so close. And the words that you make those sounds for, or however you say that, the words that have those sounds are related. Chegar, like an Argentine might say yo chego, you say eu chego. It's the same sound.
Exactly.
You see what I'm
Yeah,
saying? So I don't
yeah.
know why that happens, but I have to imagine there's a reason, some historic reason for that.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
But what's even funnier is that in Uruguay, they don't really talk like that.
they don't do
They
that.
actually, nah,
Interesting.
they actually say Joe. So I was like, man, is that like
Ah,
specific to Argentina? Yeah, but
Didn't know
Man,
that.
I don't mean to be like disrespectful to
Yeah,
anybody.
All of Argentina fucking hates you right now.
Yeah,
They're
bro.
like,
Like
fuck
I might
this
have
dude, bro.
crossed the border for sure.
For the last time, visa revoked.
Yeah, bro. I crossed the line
uh,
for sure, bro. I meant to say that like Spanish was so traumatic for me, dude.
mm,
Where I had I had an idea in my mind ever since learning English that I had a thing like for learning languages. Like, man, this comes easy to me.
yeah.
I have like some type of natural talent going on here. But when I tried Spanish, man, I was like, nah, bro. That thing's not for me. For sure, the interesting has has something to do with it. Like you're not interested in doing something,
Yeah, for sure.
you're not gonna learn it. Just like in school, like learning math, it just sucks. But bro, it was so damn difficult. Like even though it is similar to Portuguese in a lot of ways, I can understand it perfectly. It's just so hard to me.
Mm,
I mean, you can confirm it. I mean, you've learned both Portuguese and Spanish, and they're two different worlds. Like they have
100%.
similarities and stuff, but it's so different, man. And
Yeah.
that was one thing that really bothered me when I was um, in my last job, like having to speak Spanish and knowing that my Spanish sucks. You know, it's just the
Mm,
worst sensation of like, because I mean, my whole team understand it. I mean, he's not a native speaker, but I was in a team for like almost 2 years, and my Spanish had no progress. It was getting to a point of like, man, like you're never getting better. Like you're always a beginner,
yeah.
and I was so frustrated with that, man. So frustrated. So when I went to Argentina, I guess my experience could have been a lot better if I was speaking the language fluently and if I actually liked the language, because that
Mm,
would make me get in touch with the culture and my colleagues at work. It would make my experience a lot more um, valuable, I guess. Wasn't really, I mean, it's not something I want to in the future uh, go back to or do it again. Oh, let's go to Argentina. Now Uruguay, like the one thing that made Uruguay so special to me was that I smoked a lot of weed, bro. For the first time.
okay.
Bro, it was like it was the first time that I was free of like judgments and free of like cops and stuff, and I just
Mm,
could do my thing. I could try it. I could try different kinds and go to a store and things like that. So that was good.
really?
Yeah, it was, bro. The culture of marijuana in Uruguay is just fucking awesome.
Mm.
So liberal and so like normalized. It's just good, you know.
Tell me about
Um,
your first time smoking weed. What was that like? You remember the very first time?
yeah, it was definitely different than I thought it would be. Um, I thought I would just start seeing things and just laugh. Uh, but bro, I was just weak, weak and sleepy.
Like physically weak, you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
physically weak. Like for me to walk, it would take longer for me to like move my body. Like I remember I was going to the airport, and I didn't have any like sense of time. It
Mm.
was like 2 o'clock, and I was like, "Yeah, let's go to the airport." And then the next time I look at the clock, it was like 5 o'clock. I was like, "What the fuck?" I didn't have any sense of time
Yeah.
passing by, and I was very slow. Like not only my my head was going slow, but my movements in my body. I just
Mhm.
felt like I was taking a long time to walk.
Mm.
Like if you think about a distance of like 10 minutes walking, I was in like an hour, and I was like, bro, it never comes. And then when I look back on it on the map, I was like, dude, I spent almost an hour to get to the airport. It's like 10 minutes away. That confused me a lot. Like I was after like the whole thing passed, I looked back
Mhm.
on it, I was like, bro, something was not right. So yeah, I was just slow. I was just that's like the one thing that was very remarkable. I was slow. but slow in a good way.
Mm,
Like I wanted to just relax.
just
I just
chill.
wanted,
Yeah.
yeah, just chill. Yeah, yeah. Um, but the one thing, man, I was on the street. I wasn't in a hotel, so I didn't have time to actually sit down and relax. I was
Mm.
just on the beach, so I didn't have any like opportunity to actually enjoy it the way I wanted to.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
I see. So you just
yeah,
did it the one time on the beach?
yeah, yeah. On the beach, I got
Okay.
like I think it was like 10 grams or something, and I smoked like I just smoked it all. Yeah, like
Hold up.
around 3 to 4 cigarettes.
At once?
Yeah, like
And your
because the
first time smoking?
yeah, because the first one that I had, I was like, "What the fuck? I don't feel anything."
Ah,
And then I learned thing about like there's a specific way of actually inhaling this shit
yeah, yeah,
for you to actually feel it.
yeah.
So I was like smoking it like I smoke a cigarette. So once I got it, I was like, bro. So it took a couple of cigarettes for me to or blunts for me to actually
Mm-hmm.
start feeling this shit. So I would
Okay.
say that actually like feeling it was like two. And like
Shit.
the first two was just like just trying out and experimenting.
Okay. That's actually a
Yeah.
pretty common thing though for people that didn't grow up around that type of thing, like smoking anything. A lot of people smoke weed like they smoke cigars, which is they just kind of bring the
Yeah.
smoke into their mouth and then just blow it out. It looks cool or whatever. And it's more common than people think. But yeah, I guess for me it's like I've been smoking since I was 15, so it's just natural. You actually have to bring the air into your lungs. And that's why I was
Yeah.
wondering, like, you said you smoked 10 grams at once, 3, 4 blunts at once. I was like, bro, how are you not on the fucking moon after smoking that much weed for the first time? That's wild, dude. But yeah, it
Yeah,
makes more
bro.
sense.
Yeah, the first two I had, I was like waiting for it to hit me, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
is that fake or something?"
Yeah.
Uh, and then one of my friends actually recommended me that kind of weed. He was like, "Nah, bro, you're not inhaling it correctly. You gotta hold it in, let it sit there for a while in your lungs, and then
Mm-hmm.
leave it out." Um,
Exactly.
so yeah, it took me around 2 blunts to actually get it going for me correctly. Yeah,
What city did you go to in Argentina?
it was Argentina was no Uruguay was Montevideo, and then
Uh-huh.
Argentina Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. Now, it seems like you had fond memories of Uruguay, not so much of Argentina. Tell me a little bit about your experience there, like with the people and just the vibe of the city and what you liked or disliked about it.
Yeah, bro, I feel like people in Uruguay they understand or they understood a lot better the fact that I don't speak the language well. Like they were a lot more understanding in that sense.
Mm.
They wouldn't like give me that look of judgment or look me weird. I mean, you can tell when somebody's like looking at you and thinking like, "Well, what the fuck," you know. And people at Uruguay, they didn't give me that look. They were a lot more, yeah, they were a lot nicer to me and more welcoming, more understanding of the fact that I don't speak the language. Now in Argentina, it was like even when I asked for them to speak slow, like it was the equivalent to say like speak to me like I'm a fucking Argentinian. They would just
Mm.
speak to me normally. I just wouldn't understand shit. So yeah, it just felt like the feeling I got when I was in Argentina is that I wasn't really welcome there. It was like, yeah, just didn't feel welcome, in a lot of ways, bro. Nah, at work, I feel like they had to be polite, but I felt like just because they had to, like, if it was an outside of work situation, they wouldn't behave the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Now outside of work, it was just nah, bro. It wasn't good. Like every interaction that I had, I always got the feeling that I wasn't really welcome. You know? Even when I was buying stuff, bro.
Hmm.
Like I'll go to one of those stores for one of those stores that are like specifically for tourists. Like you get touristy stuff and you buy like
Yeah, yeah.
gifts and stuff.
Hmm.
Even in those stores, I was treated like, it just, I don't know. It was just a weird vibe of like, we don't like you. You know? I don't know if it has something to do with the race. I don't want to make like any allegations, but that was something that I was like prepared for. You know, they have a little bit of that reputation. They're known for that. I mean, if anybody wants to disagree with that, just go to a just go on YouTube and type like Corinthians versus Boca Juniors. Your questions will be answered,
Hmm.
like with the gestures and what it's just it's not up to debate. They have their reputation, so I was
Yeah.
prepared for that. I was already expecting that some weird shit could happen, and I just wouldn't take it personal because I'm
The guest, the
the
visitor, right?
guest, yeah, the visitor. But I can't say for sure, right? It's one of those things that you feel it, you have a feeling, you get the vibe, but you can't, actually prove that.
Hmm.
So I try to be careful with that. Even now, to say that I try to be careful with that, but I'm sure you've been through that as well. There's a certain look on people's face that you know what they mean. Like they don't have to say anything. It's like
Hmm.
I get it, you know. So I got that in Argentina. Um, that made me feel very, very uncomfortable. And we're talking about like restaurants, gift stores, at the hotel. It was just nah. I just felt like a fish out of water or something.
Hmm.
I just felt weird. Yeah. It was still a nice experience because it was the very first time visiting a new country, so it was all new for me. Like at that point, I never even stepped foot on a plane. So everything was exciting for me.
Wow.
Like from like getting to the airport to arriving in Argentina and going through customs, like everything was new to me and it was exciting. So that made the experience like remarkable. But in terms of the interactions with people while I was there, it wasn't really that good thing to remember of. For Uruguay, man, I don't know. I don't know what they. I don't know what it is about the people from Uruguay, but even they and even them, um, or even they talk shit about Argentinian people. They're like, bro,
Mm.
I'm surprised they survived there because those people are like different. They have this thing about I don't know what it is because I'm not. I mean, obviously, I've been to Argentina only one time, so I'm not sure what it is with the culture and how they behave. But for somebody that actually understands the language and that is so close to Argentina, that actually have more interactions with them to say something like that, like, bro, I'm surprised that you survive over there. There's got to be something about it that I'm not really, catching on the air.
Yeah.
There's definitely something to it.
Interesting.
And I felt like people were definitely a lot more welcoming, a lot more friendlier um, at work and outside of work. My experiences in restaurants and gift stores. Um, I also went to a mall in there because there's this what's it called, makeup store called Body 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 something. That's a very like girly store. In my bro,
Hmm.
like you gotta get some makeup for me. That store is amazing. We don't have that in Brazil. And I went to that mall and I was like, hey, I'm a guy. I don't know anything about makeup. I have my girlfriend here on a video call. Can you please talk to her and then recommend something that you think she's gonna like? And the guy was like the nicest guy possible. My girlfriend has like sort of like a broken Spanish as well, and the guy was like super understandable, very like friendly, and actually giving her attention and talking to her, and it was great. Like the whole time was great. It just felt like a different vibe, different kinds of people. I don't know what it is, bro. Montevideo. beautiful place, bro. Um, Obviously, it was a joke like that. It was only the weed thing, but bro, it's just like overall the country is like I would definitely go back to for sure in the future. Amazing, amazing place to be in, man. When you talk about South America, I mean, you speak Spanish, bro. It would be such an amazing experience for you as well. Now, I mean, I'm black and I was treated decently, so I'm sure you're gonna have a good experience as well.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, man, because I never thought this would be the case, but the older I get, the more that's actually important to me. It's like, how are black people treated there? You know what I mean? Because most this is also, it's funny because it's not something that you can really talk about with most people. Like if somebody were to ask me, somebody who wasn't black and from somewhere in America, whether it's Canada, the US, or any other country in the continent that is America, they they can't really relate. Like everybody knows what racism is. Black people aren't the only people that experience racism, but no matter where you go, even in some African countries, being black is a problem. You're not welcome. And it's not something that you can even really relate with other people on because they just don't get it. They're like, oh, that's too bad. And I'm not saying that like we deserve pity or special treatment, nothing like that. It's just like knowing that somebody out there understands the things that you go through that can't really be communicated. Like you mentioned, it's just a certain look on
Yeah,
some people's faces as if you've got shit on your face or as if you've done something wrong to their family. You've never even met them before, but as soon as you
yeah,
walk in, there's just a certain
yeah,
look on their face. And it's like everywhere you go. I've been in Thailand since November of last year. And now I'm somewhat used to it. But for a long time, bro, I'm just like, is there something I don't understand? Like, what am I doing? Am I breaking some social rules or some shit like that? And the more you interact with people, especially as my Thai got better, I'm like, oh no, I'm just not welcome here. First of all, they don't, and I'm generalizing about people because I've only been to Bangkok. I haven't been to the whole country. In Bangkok, a lot of people don't like foreigners to begin with because most of them come here, they don't respect the culture, they don't learn the language, they are rude, they're arrogant, they're assholes. I get that. But I think this is debatable. But I would say if you're tall, white, and European looking, you're going to get much better treatment than somebody who looks like you or me. You know what I mean? And it's just the way it is. And so I had to get used to that. Just like black first, I mean, that's Asia in general. Black people are not really welcome
yeah,
anywhere in Asia. There's certain pockets of people that are just they treat everyone like people. They even admire black people or the culture, but generally speaking, the darker, the worse. You know, everybody here wants
yeah,
to be white. It's such a strange, and I'm speaking in general terms, obviously, not about everyone. I just say everyone in general terms. And yeah, here in Thailand, it's the same shit, bro, where I'll go places and you can just like the way people look at you and treat you, you know, you're not welcome for whatever reason. Maybe it's because I'm black or American or just for foreigner in general. You just feel like you're not welcome the way people look at you and talk to
yeah,
you and shit. And it's like, not that I'm special by any means, but I actually want to be here. I want to learn the language. I want to learn the
yeah,
culture. I want to make friends. And everywhere you go, people are treating you like you're not welcome. They're like, fuck off, bro. Who the fuck are you? And so it's just
exactly.
like, after at first, I'm just like, well, fuck all you niggas, bro. I don't like you niggas either. But I know that's just like a, what do you call it? Like an emotional reaction to feeling outcasted. And I think that's
Yeah,
just something that's probably some childhood
outcast.
shit I never dealt with. So I had to think about it more rationally and just be like, dude, there's going to be assholes no matter where you go. You're going to get treated like that everywhere, even by quote unquote your own people. You're going to get treated like shit from time to time. So just
Exactly.
focus on the positive ones because I've met some great people here, man. Some fantastic people. So it's not like it's all bad. But if I were talking to a black person and they were planning to come here, I'd be like, listen, let me just prepare you mentally for some things that might make you uncomfortable or might piss you off. I'm not saying don't come. I'm not saying
Yeah,
everybody's shit. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's just it is what it
Just be
is.
prepared. Yeah,
Yeah, just be prepared.
exactly.
Be
Yeah,
prepared.
absolutely, man. And it's hard because I mean, obviously, when I mentioned the like the look on their face, you immediately got what I was saying.
Immediately.
If
Yeah.
I but if I talk to somebody that's not a black person, they're gonna think it's just something in my head, and they're not gonna understand it. That's why
Mm-hmm.
it's such a delicate subject, because it's a very delicate statement to make, to say it to somebody that's not black.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're gonna. I mean, that's. I hope people didn't take it personal or thought it was a bad thing to say. It's just I'm just describing how I felt, right?
Yeah.
It's just what I felt while I was over there. And I mean, in Uruguay, man, while I was there, I didn't see one black person, and I was treated decently. So I mean, there's gotta be something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, man. Overall, if I could go back in time, I'll definitely try to stay in Uruguay a bit longer, because the way that I organized my trip, um, I had like 2 weeks, and I could organize them the way I wanted. Like, I want to stay like, let's say, 5 times in Argentina and then the rest in Uruguay, or only 4 days in Argentina. I had to like look at the project and then prioritize the tasks and everything, and then organize the days as I
Mm.
thought was suitable. And I made a mistake of staying in Argentina a bit longer, even though there wasn't much work to do, just because I thought it was gonna be better, like funnier.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I thought about, I want to go to the River Plate Stadium and Boca Juniors, and I
Oh
want to,
yeah.
like, there's a bunch of things that I wanted
It's
to
so
do,
cool.
like in Buenos Aires, and I've heard a lot about like Argentina steakhouses and things like that, like pajilla, they call it pajilla, I guess. So I was so excited about Argentina, and in Uruguay, I was like, yeah, guess I have to go to Uruguay after. And then
Mm-hmm.
like I prioritized the Argentina trip in terms of time, and I regret it so much, man. If I could go back in time, it was gonna be like only 3 days in Argentina, just to get done with whatever I had to do, and then go straight to Uruguay and enjoy it over
Wow.
there. It was great, bro. It's great.
It's good to know,
I
man.
made 2 friends over there that I talk to this day, like, with even with my broken Spanish, like,
Hmm.
they hit me up on WhatsApp. We have conversations, and that goes to show that it's something about the culture, man. I mean, you have one part of or you have one country that they understand your broken Spanish. They talk to you normally, and then the other one look at you like you got shit on your face. I mean, it's part of the culture, you know. But what's hard about it? When you talk about nationalities and cultures, that is a very delicate thing, man. Like, I'm mature enough, like, I've had contact with so many people from outside of Brazil. So I'm mature enough to understand that there's a few things about the Brazilian personality, let's say, that may bother other people.
Yeah.
And I think it's part of it. It's part of being from another country. But a lot of people do not understand that. And they have
Mm-hmm.
that. I don't know if it's being patriotic or if it's an ego thing, but they try to protect themselves. Like, no, it's something in your head. Nah, you're
Mm-hmm.
just talking shit. So it's delicate to make those statements, because it's like you get to a very personal side of people's, like, feelings. Like, you're talking about my country. I hope you never come back here. Something. I mean, you get what I mean, right?
100%. You're absolutely right. And it's funny because what we're talking about now, I talked about a little bit on the podcast, I don't know how many weeks or months ago. And I just knew when I was recording that episode, so many people were going to take it personally or think I'm just trying to be an asshole. And I was like, dude, it's almost as if you're not allowed to not like or appreciate anything. If you don't like something or you complain about something, especially a group of people, it means you hate them or you want them to disappear, or that's the only thing you think about them. You're not allowed to disagree or dislike anything. Anytime you say something, as you said, about a group of people or their country or their language or whatever, it's like they take it as if you're shitting on them personally, when it's like, no, I'm talking about my experience. I'm not allowed to do that anymore. What are you talking about? And not only that, but we speak in very general terms because it's easy. It's easy to just say, when I was in Thailand, or when I was in Argentina, or Argentine people this, Brazilian people that, because it's just easy to speak that way. You should
Yeah,
have, I shouldn't say should, we have a level of intelligence, or maybe maturity or self-awareness, to know, just because you said something about Americans doesn't mean you're talking about me. And guess
exactly.
what? When Americans are talking to each other, we shit on each other. There's stuff that we hate about our country and culture. We know,
Yeah,
all right? We get it. So it's like, I think it's because maybe we're just such tribal people, and so many people lack the ability to think critically and think, like, what does he mean by that? Who exactly is he
yeah,
talking about? Or, oh, he's not talking about us. He's talking about his experience with us. And it wasn't even with me. It was just somebody who's from the same country. That doesn't define me. It doesn't mean he hates all of us. He's talking about one thing in particular. But most people who aren't thinking critically, and they're just, all their thoughts are really just emotions. They're not really thinking past the surface of what's being said. They think, oh, he said when he went to Argentina or Buenos Aires, everybody treated him like shit. So he's saying Argentine people treat black people like shit. He's like, no, I went to Argentina, I'm black, and they treated me like shit. And I think it was because I'm black. It's two
yeah,
completely different statements. So yeah, it's
absolutely.
unfortunate, bro, that you can't, it's not, I shouldn't say it that way. It's unfortunate that a lot of people are incapable of hearing unfiltered conversation about people's experiences or negative opinions or perceptions of a group of people, even though we all have them. We all have them, but it's not okay to express them. So what the fuck? How am I
Yeah,
wrong for talking about what I went through? What are you talking about?
yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of people everywhere, bro. I mean, just to give an example, I remember like years ago when it came to Brazil, and then when you came back to the U.S., you released an episode called um, I might get it wrong, but it was something like five things I like about Brazil, and then five things I don't like about Brazil. I didn't like about Brazil, and
Yeah.
then there was one thing you said that was very I think about it to this day, where you said there's a lot of assholes in Brazil, and I thought it was like you had to have balls to say something like that, because you get to people's feelings with that statement, but at the same time, it's like in my position, I was like, I'm Brazilian. He met me and he didn't have that experience. He met other amazing Brazilians and he didn't have that experience. So it's a matter of experience. I mean, you had good experience and bad experience.
Yeah.
Not every country is going to have all awesome, great people. And not every country is going to be like just all trash like Argentina. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
great people in Argentina. I just didn't have the experience to meet one. It was just my
Right.
experience. If it was somebody else, they could be like, Argentinian people are the best in the world, nicest guys ever. It's just a matter of experience, man. Just like
Yep.
you hear so many things about Brazilians, like, oh, Brazilians have this great culture of like being warm and welcoming and they're friendly. And it goes to show, like, you come to Brazil, you spend like 3 months in Brazil, and you have that experience to share. Like, hey, I know there's a lot of assholes in Brazil because I saw it, I
Mm-hmm.
experienced it. Um, So yeah, man, I don't, like you said, we have that maturity of not taking it personally because we know how it works, but it's very delicate to so much so that I haven't talked about it with anybody really after I came back, because I know
Yep.
that some people, they, it hurt their feelings for some reason.
100%. Same with me, bro. I think you're the only person I've talked to about my experience in Colombia, my experience in Thailand, because although it's plenty of positive stuff to touch on as well, there's a lot of stuff. I'm just like, bro, fuck these niggas, fuck this place, bro, because you just get treated like such shit and you don't know why. You're like, I haven't done anything in particular. Why am I coming
Yeah,
across so many shit people? Like, what the hell is going on? And so, yeah,
exactly.
it's again, just by making a negative comment about anybody, especially making a general statement like Thai people or Thailand or Brazilian people, etc.
Yeah,
Everybody's like, what? You know what I mean? It's bizarre to me, bro. It's
yeah,
fucking bizarre. So yeah, I don't know what that's about. Let me ask you a question really quick though. You got time? Because I'm gonna go piss and come back. You
Yeah,
got
I got
time? You good?
yeah.
All right,
It's all
cool.
good.
I'll be right back.
All right.
All right.
We're,
So I have to edit this out in whatever you call it, post or whatever. So unless you can think of any other particular experiences abroad, there's one thing I want to say, and then I want to move to something else that I found very interesting in this new podcast I'm listening to. So the last thing I'll say about that, just since we're talking about experiences abroad, one thing I never expected about my experience in not really Mexico, but definitely Colombia, definitely Brazil, and certainly here in Thailand, bro, is when people find out I'm American, I'd say anywhere between 40 and 60% of people treat me worse. Their attitude
oh
changes,
wow.
their face changes, their energy changes, and they start making all these assumptions and shit like that. Whereas all the way up to that point, like everything before that, I was just that was just me. And then they find out I'm American and just it's like a switch flips in their mind. And a lot of people, I don't know
Oh.
why this is. Maybe
In
it's in my
Brazil
head.
as
I'll
well?
just say that. Brazil, yeah, for sure. For
Oh
sure,
wow.
bro. Yeah, man. Speaking of Brazil in particular, I remember this was like this must have been early days, probably the first couple of weeks I was there. The girl I was dating, we went to this what do you call it? It wasn't like a diner, but you know how in Sao Paulo, especially near Paulista Avenue, on some corners, it's like a restaurant kind of diner type of place where you can get
Yeah,
breakfast and there's a bar that you can sit at, but also tables and stuff where you can eat.
yeah.
Whatever that's called, we went to one of those places, and so we're we're eating, having a good time, talking or whatever, and then the server keeps coming back and forth, and I speak Portuguese. Like she didn't know I wasn't Brazilian the entire time that we were interacting or whatever. And so then at the end, she brings us the check. And I don't remember how this happened, but somehow it came up that I wasn't Brazilian. Like I was here just visiting, I'm an American. And like you saw our eyes get really big and wide. This lady goes and tells all the other staff that are working that an American is here. I was like, all right, this is kind of weird. Like, what the fuck? And half of them were happy about that and fascinated and wanted to know more about me. The other half, I could see their faces. They're like, fuck this nigga, bro. I don't give a fuck about no American. And so then we eventually get up and I get the check and I have to go pay. And so I walk over to the counter and one of these hating ass niggas that I'm talking about, he was kind of just standing there, just kind of looking down, doing whatever he was doing. And so I'm standing there looking at him. And when somebody's standing in front of you, somebody walks up to you, what do you do, bro? You lift up your head and what the fuck do you want? Just naturally, like, what's up? You
Yeah.
need something? Just refuse to look up. He's just looking down, looking down. And I'm standing there checking one hand money in the other, just like, what the fuck is going on? You know, so eventually I'm like, oh, excuse me, excuse me. And he looks up, doesn't say anything, just, what's up? And so I had to have it to check. He's looking down, and so he's just like, just points at it. I'm like, you gonna cash me out, my nigga? Like, what the fuck is, what are we doing here? What's happening? So he just points at the check. I'm like, okay, I guess this is the part where I give you the money, or like you I don't have any feedback from you, so I just stuck out my hand for the money, and he put his head back down. I'm like,
Dude.
did I do something to you, bro? Like, what the fuck is going on here? So I
And
just
your girlfriend didn't say anything like the whole time,
no,
or
she
she
was
was?
still sitting at the table. She was just sitting at
Oh,
the table. I
okay.
got up to go pay, and
Oh
so
yeah.
I'm sitting there looking like a fucking idiot with the money in my hands. So I'm just like, all right, bro, and I just put the money on the counter, and I look back at her. I'm like, all right, let's go, and we just get up and leave. I was like, well, what the fuck just happened? What did I did I miss something? Why was this thing acting so weird towards me, bro? And that might not even be the best story because there's so many of them, but so many
Wow.
times in Brazil and definitely here in Thailand, bro, it's just like they find out you're American and they treat you worse. I'm like,
Wow.
and I don't know why, but I imagine it's because people associate the people of that country with the country itself or the government itself. Like a lot of people hate American government. They hate American corporations. They hate American celebrities. They hate the fact that America gets so much attention and acting like there's the best in the world and all this shit. And so you get if you're already ashamed of your country and culture, and you don't like it, you think there's so many problems, you think they're not as good as Americans, you naturally, to protect your own ego, are going to be like, fuck them niggas, bro. It's the
Yeah,
pride that comes from the shame of your
exactly.
own culture and wherever you come from or whatever. So this weird like resentment and envy is going on. And you're like, fuck them niggas. Americans aren't so great. What about all the school shootings? What about all the fat people? What about this and what about that? They only have negative shit to say to try to bring you down to where they are mentally. You know what I mean? And so maybe when
Wow,
they meet an American, they immediately think of all that negative shit and they're like, oh, you must be that. You're a
oh,
representation. All that shit is what you are, just in one person. Fuck you. And they don't even know you.
bro, and
I'm like,
what do you have to do with it? I mean, just taking
that's what
your
I'm
trip,
saying, bro. I'm just fucking tourist, bro. What the fuck? I'm just here trying to
bro.
enjoy
It's
the
crazy.
culture. And this is what I
Yeah,
get. Like it's weird.
bro. And not to mention, like when you try to actually like practice the language, people
Oh,
cut you
bro.
off to speak your language. I'm sure
Bro.
that happens in Brazil too.
But no, you know what's funny, dog, is like more than anywhere else ever, here in Thailand, here in Bangkok. I'm so glad you said that because it was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Like once we get, that's what I was going to move to is pet peeves and recommendations, like I told you about before we recorded. So this one, man, this one, man, this one, man, it just fucking makes my blood boil. It makes that didn't really didn't happen that much in Brazil. Honestly, it didn't. And when it did, like a lot of people were polite enough to be like, "Do you mind if we practice English? I'm trying to learn English," which to me is just a
Oh
decent thing
yeah,
to do. I don't care which language we speak. I don't give a shit. If you want to
yeah.
practice, just let me know that. That's it's not a problem. But here in Bangkok, Thailand, bro, let me tell you
They're
something.
just straight up cutting you off and changing the
It's
languages.
so fucking weird, bro. It's so weird. Like we are in Thailand. Your native language is Thai. I walk into the restaurant, three Thai people, one's ordering food, you're speaking to them in Thai. I walk up to the counter, I'm obviously not Thai. I order food in Thai. I say, hello, I'd like this in Thai. And you respond to me in English.
Bro.
Like, what the fuck? What are you
And
doing, bro?
you're at a point where you're not even speaking like broken Thai. You're like you're
That's what I'm
decent.
saying. It's like
Yeah.
I guess I could even understand that if it was so shitty that they're like, dude, let's
Yeah.
just do English. You're most likely an American because the city is full of them. But even to just assume that I'm American and start speaking English to me is weird. I understand it. I just think it's weird. Like, how do you even know where I'm from? I could be African. I could be Brazilian. I could be any fucking thing with my face. Why are you assuming that I speak English? But that's I understand that on some level because most foreigners speak English. I just think it's weird. I think
Yeah.
it's weird. But even now that I'm speaking Thai, I'm speaking Thai. I walk in speaking. There's no indication that English is any of the languages I speak, and you start speaking English to me. It's like what the why? What are we doing here? Why would you switch to English like that? And then the person behind me is Thai, and you go back to Thai. It's fucking weird. Or like just the other day, I in my building I'm on a high floor, so I have to take the elevator up and down every time. This happens a lot. So I get on first, and there's this other guy that gets on. He's got stuff in his hands, so I'm just being decent. Let me press the button for you. So I ask, which floor? In perfect Thai. This nigga responds, 6. I'm like, bro, fuck you, bro. Fuck you. What type of shit is that, dude? It's so weird. It's so weird and it's fucking rude to me. To me, it's fucking rude. Like if you're in
Bro.
your native country speaking your native language, a foreigner comes and even just puts in the effort to learn your language and culture, they come up to you speaking the language you've spoken since you could speak. And your first reaction is to speak in the language that you assume is theirs. Either one, because you practicing the language you're learning is more important than them practicing the language that they're learning. Or two, you think them speaking your language is such shit that you don't even want to put in the time or energy to try to give them a chance to speak. So let's just do it in your language. I get
Bro.
that. Or three, which I suspect happens a lot, and this could just be in my head, maybe I'm arrogant. What often happens, especially here in Thailand, most foreigners aren't learning to speak Thai, bro. And if they are, it's I have to admit it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. They're not putting in much effort. They don't practice frequently enough. So when they speak, it's pretty bad. And so what I think is they're so accustomed to that when somebody like me who studies literally every single day, I talk as much as I can. I've gotten over the fear of putting myself out there and making conversation, making mistakes or whatever, to where I've gotten to a pretty good level. Thai people are like,
Yeah.
damn, you sound like one of us, bro. I hear that quite often. So when somebody who is already, let me break this down. I mean, before I say that, you find a very particular type of person in every country you go to who has learned to speak English, and they think that they're better than other people because they've learned to speak English. You find this in Colombia, in Brazil, in Mexico, in Thailand, in Indonesia, friend, and everywhere you go, I find this kind of person. It's always a person that comes from an upper class family. They had a lot of money, quite privileged, went to private school. They got English classes since they were little kids, all paid for, the best teachers in universities and shit. Now they speak English. They consume a lot of American content. They try to act like Americans. So they think, I'm up here, I'm different, I'm special, I'm unique because I'm up here and you little peasants are down here. It's always that kind of person that I come across. Speaking about the third type, where they speak pretty good English. In fact, very good English. It's very clear. And then they come across somebody like myself, a foreigner who also speaks pretty damn good Thai, and I can see in their face, maybe it's just in my head, I see in their face a little bit of envy. They're like,
Oh,
this fucking
okay.
American speaking my language like that? That's in their little fragile vision of the world. No way a dumbass piece of shit American foreigner could reach
Oh,
that level of
man.
Thai when I've already reached this level of English. There's no way they could do that because that means I'm not special. So you can see it in
Oh,
their face.
yeah.
As soon as I start talking like that, they immediately switch back to English. Every single time, bro. I went to the dentist just a couple weeks ago, and I was like when I walked in, the receptionist was speaking English because she assumed I don't speak Thai like most foreigners. I start speaking to her in Thai. Everything is great. She's like, oh shit, you speak Thai? So then we're just chopping it up and shit. The dentist is one of the type of people I was talking about. I walk in, she's speaking to me in English, so I just respond in English. After we meet, I go back out to the receptionist to pay, speaking to her in Thai. The receptionist was like, he can speak Thai, like really well. You hear this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm speaking Thai or whatever. The dentist is like, oh, and then start speaking in English when we're already speaking Thai over here. I'm just like, dude, fuck
Bro.
you, bro. Fuck you. That shit is rude. I know I've been talking for a long time. I'll say the last thing. I just think it's rude when somebody approaches you speaking your native language and you say, no, 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 we're going to do what I want us to do. And then you force the conversation into a different language, either because, well, I don't know what the reason. I just think that's fucking rude. That's weird. I would never in a million years imagine a situation where a foreigner comes to the United States. They learn to speak English. They start speaking English to people. And just because you look Latino, I start speaking Spanish to you.
Bro.
Like, what the fuck is that, bro? That's weird
Bro,
to me.
have you
That's
have
weird.
you have you asked like any locals like what's up with that? Like,
Yeah, of
well,
course. And like the average person will say, "Oh, I think they just want to practice their English with you." And I get that. And maybe I'm being like too sensitive, but to me it's just the decent thing to do. Say, "Hey, I'm learning English. Do you mind if I practice with you?" Like that to me is just a decent thing to do
yeah,
because anybody else in the city, you wouldn't speak English to them. You'd be speaking Thai. You've never heard me speak English and you just start speaking English. I approached you speaking Thai and you start speaking English. The fuck is that?
bro. And how do their English sound? Is that like broken English or is it decent?
Listen, man, I hesitate to answer because it's going to sound rude, but oftentimes, no, it's not. It's not great. No, I mean, there's plenty of people that speak great English. I don't want to be an asshole with my response. I'm just going to tell you the truth.
Yeah,
Oftentimes, no, and it's usually the ones that insist on speaking English that their English really isn't even that good. I'm like, dude, you're not that great either. So why are you trying to force it into English as if we can't speak Thai? You know what I
bro.
mean? Or
I
whatever
mean,
language it
clearly
is.
your
It's
Thai is
weird.
like much clearer than English. So what's the point?
I don't want to say that, but yes, I mean that's often the case. I'm like, dude, I'm speaking Thai better than you speak English. Why are you trying to force us to speak English?
Oh,
Even if you want to practice, like I don't know, maybe it's just communication and the way I
that's
view it. But it's like just say that. I don't give a shit what language we speak, but you're trying to force it in that way when you wouldn't do that with anybody else. You would never speak English to a Thai person. So why are you speaking English to me when I came up to you speaking Thai and I speak it perfectly fine? That's weird, bro.
that's so strange, man. 'Cause like me, like knowing you, like and knowing your capacity to learn languages, I'm sure they got to a point where like you're definitely speaking like pretty good Thai. Like there's no reason to cut you off. Be like, hey, I speak English. I can't
That is
understand you,
true.
whatever. I mean,
Yeah,
if you're speaking like trash Thai, that's understandable. Like, yeah, man, I can't really understand you. Let's do English, you know. But I mean, if you're speaking clearly and you're understandable, what's the point? I
yeah,
mean, yeah, man. I mean, that's strange, and there's also the fact that it's gotta be pretty uncommon for like anybody to speak Thai as a second language. It's not something that they're used to
yeah.
see or hear. So yeah, I'm not sure if they have like yeah, it's definitely something that hits them different
I
when they
always
hear
get
that for
three
sure.
reactions, bro, based on what you just said. There's always three classic reactions. Number one is the one I just described, where they're like, nah, English, that's what we're gonna do. That's number one. Number two is always just the like, holy shit, this fucking guy? You've been here how long and you speak Thai, bro? That's just fucking awesome. It's all positive. They're like they appreciate somebody's actually living here and they try to learn the language because the majority don't. So they think that's cool. And then the third one, which is my favorite, they don't give a shit. Just like if they treat you just like they treat everybody else. You walk in speaking Thai, it's as if you're from that country and they're speaking to you just like anybody else. You have your interaction and you just go on about your fucking day. It's the best, bro. They just treat you like a regular ass person. They don't give a fuck where you're
Bro,
from or the fact that you learn Thai. You're just you. Why would I care about that shit? What do you
yeah,
want? I got
most of the
customers. What the
time.
fuck do you want? You know what I mean? Just get your shit and go. They're not rude or
Yeah,
mean. It's just like, I'm not impressed or I'm not going to treat you differently just because you come from a different place or because you learn to speak Thai. You're just a person, just another person.
yeah, yeah, bro. And it might be as well. I mean, I can't speak about Thai, but what I've seen happen in Brazil a lot is Brazilians. You have that one guy that speak perfect English, and and sometimes it's not even that good, but he wants to show off to the other people around that they can speak English.
Kills me, bro.
So like, if there's a group of people and there's people around, they even like elevate their tone of voice in English to like, hey everybody, I'm speaking English to a foreigner. I can speak English, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not even that good, you know. I've seen that many times in Brazil. It's like, bro,
Uh,
yeah,
isn't that so weird that it's like a status symbol to some people? Oh, I speak another
it is.
language. It's like, I don't give a fuck, bro. Who cares?
Yeah,
Who
and
cares?
I don't know what it is about English because if that's with Spanish, people in Brazil would be like, yeah, whatever. I mean Spanish, but
Good
if it's
point.
English, people are like, I don't know. It just put them on a pedestal or
Yeah,
something.
that is
Yeah, I
true.
think it's cool.
I've noticed the same thing. I don't know what that's about, bro. I really don't. Because, I mean, you know my philosophy on it. Anybody who doesn't have some type of learning disability, learning disorder, any average person can learn to speak a foreign language as long as they learn in the right way and they're consistent enough. So, I mean, like learning to speak five languages, of course, that's impressive because you put in the work to make that happen. But if you're still a fucking asshole, I don't care how many languages you speak, bro. It's like, what does that say
Exactly.
about your personality? I don't give a shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And what's even funnier about it is that the ones that do have that behavior are the ones that don't even have that good level of English or any other language. You know, like what you're trying to show off, you're not even that good, man. Like
Yeah.
just yeah,
Hey, man, insecurity is a bitch. Insecurity is a bitch.
yeah,
You know, it causes people to do a lot of, all of us to do a lot of dumb shit. And not only that, I think it's called like the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is the idea that stupid people often think that they're much smarter than they actually are. The dumbest people are often the most confident, the least informed are often talking the most. You know what I'm saying? And I think that
yeah.
definitely rings true in many areas of life, man.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've seen that a lot. Like the person that's trying to just talk over people and trying to be the center of attention doesn't even have anything to say.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have that one quiet person in a corner. They go talk to them and like, bro, that guy is intelligent as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's just a lot of insecurity going on for sure.
Uh, yeah, man. Do you have any? I know that I let you know about this late notice, but I told you I was listening to that podcast. First of all, first recommendation: We Might Be Drunk, the podcast with
Oh,
comedian Mark Norman and Sam Morril. Very good, entertaining stuff. Two of my favorite comedians. So just listening to them like shoot the shit. Sometimes they have guests on. They're always drinking something in particular. They have like a bartender in the studio, and every episode they make some different alcoholic drink. They drink and just
um,
shoot the shit. It's really good. And a part of their episode is peeves and recs, so like pet peeves and recommendations, and they just go back and forth sharing things that piss them off or cool things that they've seen and want to recommend lately. So do you have any like pet peeves, things that people do or say that just piss you off or irritate you, anything like that? Because I got a
um,
fucking list,
oh man,
and if you want I can start, and then maybe it'll bring like
yeah.
stuff to your
So
mind.
what's the name of that dynamic? Pats and peeves.
Yeah, peeves, and I don't think there's a name for it, but they always say, "Do you have any peeves?" Which is like, "Do you have any pet peeves to share?" And then they'll always say something like, "I got a rec," which is a recommendation. So I just think about it as peeves and recs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So a pet peeves is something bad, like that pisses
exactly.
you off.
Something that somebody says or does, and you just find it so annoying you can't stand that shit. That's a pet peeve.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
And then a
Yeah,
rec,
yeah, yeah.
something you
A
find.
rec is just like, hey, I just checked out this podcast. You got to check it out. Or I recommend this movie or that
Oh,
restaurant or
okay.
this song or whatever it may be.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I
Yeah,
was
you
like,
can
damn, I need
start.
to incorporate that shit into my pod. That's a dope concept.
Yeah.
Um,
You can take the conversation in a lot of different directions. That's
100%. Yeah,
yeah.
and also I find that it's so relatable when you're listening to them talk about shit that pisses them off. I'm like, fucking yes, dude. I thought I was the only one that found that annoying, but yes, these niggas understand me, bro. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good. I got, dude, I got so many. I don't even know where to start. Here's
Yeah.
one. When you're watching a video podcast on YouTube, and for whatever reason, the first 60 seconds is just a compilation of moments that are going to be later in the episode, because they're doing this
Um,
intro to try to like hook your attention to make sure that you stay for longer than 60 seconds. And then I'm like, bro, just give me the fucking episode. Like, I don't need a goddamn highlight reel.
yeah.
I'm still gonna have to watch the episode to get to those moments anyway. Stop wasting my fucking time. And I get it, it's
Yeah.
for retention. But like, I clicked on it. I want to see it. So just let me fucking watch it, bro. It drives me nuts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because you get the conversation like out of context when you do that. Like the
Exactly.
whole thing about conversation is like the construction or the like how it builds into something like
Exactly.
funny or whatever. So getting something out of context like for like 10 seconds is
I
just
hate that shit, bro.
what's the
Just like, get
point?
to the
Yeah,
fucking show, dude. What are we doing here?
I seen it sometimes. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's why I
Yeah.
like Joe so much. It's just raw, just beginning the way it is,
Just
as
get
is,
into it, man.
just getting to it. Yeah. Yeah, one I can think of, man. We were just talking about like people that are always trying to overtalk people, and then that one question, man, that I absolutely hate with all my power. Why are you so quiet? Why are you so you don't say anything? And the one thing
Dude.
that I think is even crazier is that when you respond with I don't have anything to say, they think it's weird. Like you
Yeah.
don't have anything to say. Like say something, you know, bro. Yeah, being an introvert, you hear that
uh,
a
too
lot
often.
for sure.
Yeah.
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 But you know what I've been doing lately that I feel like has given me a good result is that I don't even allow myself to be in those situations. Like I try to
Mm.
analyze every group setting that I'm about to interact with. So if somebody is trying to like or calling me for an event or a party or something, I try to analyze like who is going to be there. That group of person is aligned with my personality,
Yeah.
aligned with my taste, with my behavior and all. If the answer is no, I don't even get outside my house, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even worth it to put
Smart
myself
move.
in that situation that I know for sure that is not going to be pleasant. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's a matter of just uncompatibility, man. If that's even a word, like your personality is just not a match with theirs. So what are you gonna do there? You know?
Yeah, that one's rough, bro. I think every introvert can relate to that shit. The classic question of why are you so quiet? And to me, it's such. First of all, it's a dumb question. It's like somebody asking why don't you have kids? It's like
Yeah,
because I don't. What the fuck? Why do you have this? If you flip it around, say why are you talking so much? Well, why are you so rude? What the fuck? You don't like me? So it's weird that
yeah,
talking too much is socially acceptable and everybody's afraid to say, can you like shut the fuck up and give somebody else a chance to talk every once in
yeah.
a while? You're not supposed to say that. Well, why are you so quiet? Is something wrong with you? It's like, no, I just don't feel like I don't have anything to say. When I have something to say, I'll say it. Other than that,
Yeah,
I'm cool. Just it's not even that I don't like y'all. I'm just cool just listening. I'm taking it all in, bro. I'm learning so much about
yeah.
you guys who can't stop talking. All you're doing is feeding me information about how you guys really think, who you are. I'm just listening, bro. I don't feel the need to like show my entire hand to the table to get
That's
like, oh, please accept me. Please think I'm cool. Please think I'm funny. I don't give a shit. When I
that's
have
the
something to
worst,
say,
man.
I'll
That's the
talk, bro.
worst.
What's the problem?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, man? The ones that are like the quietest usually are the ones that have the most to say.
The
Like if
coolest,
you
bro.
actually, yeah, if you actually have a conversation, like an on-one conversation with them, you have like the most interesting conversations ever because they
Yeah.
don't have that insecurity of like trying to catch attention to themselves all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like they know what they're about and they know their values and everything, and they don't have the necessity of like showing that off and then almost in a needy way, right? I feel like
That's
those
all it
people are
is.
needy, man. Like
Yeah.
they need attention, like very, very insecure people. Very, which is contradicting because a introverted person oftentimes they look like an insecure person when in
Yeah.
reality it's the one that are being like just talking all the time that's the most insecure, but they have the ability of like projecting, I don't know, a mask or a shield in front of them to not let them reveal itself, if that makes any
Mm-hmm.
sense. So
Of
they're very
course.
smart people in a way because they know how to manipulate their their feelings in a way that they come out as the confident one. So that's like um, socially intelligent, right? But it's just like you can see when somebody's not being, you know, original. Let's say,
Of
I mean, bro,
course.
you're full of shit, you know.
100%, bro. And that's the thing about like just being observant, like not feeling the need to talk all the time. If you just sit back and just watch people, if you really listen to what it is they're saying, they will tell you so much about themselves and they don't even know they're doing it. They don't
Yeah,
even know they're doing it. So the average person thinks he's confident, he's this, he's that, and you're just sitting there watching like, no, he's not. But you're obviously not going to
yeah,
speak on it. But you're just like, I see you, nigga. That ain't
I
it. And it's
see.
it's like, I don't know, bro. To each his own. Obviously, it's not to say that all introverts are interesting or confident or whatever, because
Uh,
it goes all across the spectrum. But generally speaking, the quiet ones are the most. It goes both ways, right? Sometimes the quiet ones, quiet for a reason. They're fucking nuts. You know what I mean? You need to, but that's just people in general, right? It's just like sometimes you tap the quiet
yeah,
one. It's like, oh, I should have fucking left
yeah,
him alone. So yeah, it's definitely not like black and white. It's definitely
yeah,
not. But I've always preferred talking to people one on one because since a kid, I realized that when you're talking to somebody in a group, it's four, five, six, seven people. A lot of people, we feel the need to perform. We feel the need to be interesting and have something to say and contribute to the positive energy. And I don't know, it just feels like a performance to me. It always has. But then I talk to these same people one on one. I'm like, this is a completely different person. I had no
yeah,
idea all that was in there. I had no idea this is who you actually are. Their behavior is different. The volume at which they speak, the tone of voice, the words they choose, the things they talk about, how vulnerable some people. I'm sure this happens with you all the time. Like
yeah,
people will tell you the most personal shit, like the deepest. I'm like, I don't even know you like that. Why are you telling me this? And it's just like you're just
Yeah,
so easy to talk to. You're just so easy to talk to. That's why I'm always
yeah,
telling people on the podcast, learn how to listen, bro, because people will tell you all types of shit. But everybody thinks, no, I need to have something to say to be
yeah,
interesting. It's the exact opposite.
yeah. And they don't come across that personality as often as well, like somebody that actually takes the time to listen and to actually pay attention to what they're saying.
Yeah.
Because most people are always like just waiting for their time to speak, like waiting for their time to show off and perform, show how good they are.
Yeah.
But they're not really paying attention or actually listening. So when they come across somebody that's actually interested in what they have to say, they like use you as a what's the name?
A
A
therapist.
therapist also. Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the word.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, bro. And I honestly I don't mind. I don't say that like negatively. I think it's cool, man, to be somebody that like no matter where you are, you can just get people to talk and just tell you shit. That's I look at it like a superpower. You know what I mean? I think the real key for anybody who's listening that's like introverted, socially anxious and shit, the key is learning how to take your natural tendency to observe, to watch and listen attentively and learn how to incorporate the things that are stereotypically transmitting confidence, learning how to talk, how to choose your words, how to speak to groups of people, and like figuring out how to express that which is you without feeling the need to try and do it the way other people do it. You can come
Yeah,
across as extremely confident and charismatic being an introvert. It's not black and white. So that's what I
yeah,
had to learn, or I'm still learning, but didn't really start learning until like my mid 20s or something. That it's a skill that can be learned. I don't have to be
yeah,
awkward and quiet and weird about it. It's nothing wrong with being introverted and observant, just learning these other skills because communication is just a skill, bro. You have your personality, but you can express it in
yeah,
better and worse ways, and you can learn how to do that.
exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the the one gift that we introverts have. Like we're always paying attention to what it is that we can make progress on in terms of like our personality and things that we can bring to the table in order to make a conversation better. Whereas a lot of times there's those arrogance extroverts that are like, just shut up and listen to what I have to say, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Shut up, I'm talking. Um, there's definitely things that we miss on as introverts in terms of like maybe the lack of like self-awareness that they have that sometimes play in their favor. The fact that
yeah,
they're so caught up in their minds that they can maybe uh, uh yeah, pull off some interesting social interaction
yeah. They
sometimes
just let
in that
loose,
moment.
you know.
Let loose, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's definitely something I miss on sometimes. But it's slow progress, man. I feel like every year that passes, I get like maybe 10% less awkward or better communicating. It's just part of the game, and we were not born with a natural talent for talking or expressing ourselves, but we do have a chance to make slow progress on it little by little.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we might have talked about this on the pod before, bro, but I can confirm what you just said about like every year you're a bit less awkward, more confident, you're speaking better. Because when I listen to you speaking now, sometimes it's not that I forget you're Brazilian, but it's never only when you like can't find a word do I remember that you've learned to speak English, if you know what I mean. Like, I know it's not your first language, I know you're Brazilian, but when we're talking, it's just so like fluid. And I remember in contrast back when we first met, not, I
Oh,
mean, man, like your appearance and just everything, your energy, the way you talked and everything, it was so fucking different, man. And I mean that in a
yeah,
good way. It's just you really are like constantly getting better. It seems like more comfortable in your skin, better at expressing yourself, man. So you're the perfect example of that. I don't even know, like maybe the last time you watched, I don't even know if you still have the link to it, but I still have the video of one of our first
bro.
conversations, bro. It's man, it's
No,
hard to watch. It's
it's
hard to watch. It's
horrible.
fucking painful,
Yeah,
dude. But that's a
and I'm,
good
I'm,
thing.
bro. I'm impressed how you at that time like gave me the opportunity to speak, man. Like I guess we made like maybe I guess 5 or 6 podcasts at that time
Yeah, probably
that you
something like
kept you
that.
like you kept having me on, even though I was awkward as fuck, man. I was like, "Bro, when I look back on it, I was like,
It hurts, man. It
yeah,
fucking hurts.
bro, it
Oh
hurts.
god.
But I'm sure you as well, when you watch back on it, you're like, yeah, I made some progress.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess a little bit, you know. I look back and I'm just like, dude, there's no way that was me. But I'm like, well, obviously it was, you know.
Oh,
So I try to look at it like that's a good thing. You should look back every once in a while and just be like, the fuck, you know what I
yeah,
mean? It indicates to me, it indicates that you've grown in some way and that
you're
you don't
making
want to identify
progress.
with that version of yourself. So yeah, I think it's good, bro. I think it's good. That's why I often talk about the benefits of podcasting and the benefits of learning a foreign language because it forces you to become aware of yourself. Because most people, I say generally, a lot of people, let's say, don't ever stop to think about how they communicate with other people,
Yeah,
how they're coming across, the words that they choose, or their tone, or how they even formulate ideas, the conciseness of their speech. Nobody, I mean, a lot of people don't think about this shit.
yeah,
And when you're podcasting, especially by yourself, like all you have is what you have to say. And it's up to you to be entertaining or to get your ideas across. And when you listen back
yeah,
to it, and you're just like, what the fuck is this? Sometimes I still do that. I'm like, what is this, bro? Like
bro.
clean it up. Get your shit together. And then with learning a
Yeah,
language, all you can do is talk to real people. And you realize very quickly you don't know how to talk to people. So you have to learn the skill
yeah,
that is talking to people. It's so good for you, bro. It'll serve you
abs-
for the rest of your life.
yeah. And there's so much to learn, man. Like just when you think that you're getting good at it, a few months go by and you look back on it, you're like, bro, I was
Yeah.
bad at it.
Yeah.
Made a lot of progress, yeah. And what's funny about it is that it doesn't even have to be like that long of uh, 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 a lifetime or a length of time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's like 3 months ago. I look back on it, I'm like,
Exactly.
bro,
Exactly.
yeah, that's constant progress for sure. Yeah, but bro,
Yeah.
what was your um what was your perspective or what went through your mind at that time when we would have conversations? Because when I look back on like 2018, we were having conversations. I was like, bro,
Mm.
how was this dude continuing to be my friend? You know?
Damn, bro.
What, what were you thinking, bro, at that
I
time?
definitely wasn't thinking anything like that. So let me just make that clear. Nah, man, I think that it's hard. I never thought about that. So it's hard to respond quickly. But I guess when I look back on those years, bro, like you're just a cool dude, bro. So for me, it's like I speak Portuguese, you speak English. We're both learning each other's languages, and we both like each other. We're friends. So I never looked at it like, oh my god, this fucking dude's English, man. Get it the fuck. I never had a thought like that. I never really think about that. I never think that way with anybody, especially since I started teaching English to people. It's like if anybody's going to be empathetic, it should be me. You know what I'm saying? Especially
Yeah,
once I learned foreign languages too, I know the pain and frustration and the difficulty.
absolutely.
So I don't
Yeah,
see how you could feel that way about anybody if you've also gone through that process. How could you lose your
yeah,
patience with somebody trying to learn to speak your language? You know how fucking hard that is. So it's just like,
yeah,
that's why it irritates me a bit. I understand it, but it irritates me a bit when somebody like you see a video or even in person, a foreigner's doing all they can to speak the native language and the native is like getting mad and irritated and like fucking speed it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, what the
yeah.
but they've never been through that experience. They don't have any empathy. They
They
don't know
don't
what
have
it's
any
like. But for
idea.
me, bro,
Yeah,
I don't give a shit. I mean, like, as long as we can communicate and you're cool
yeah,
and you think I'm cool, what else matters, bro?
yeah. You know what I think it is as well. I feel like it was very recent that I felt like I was um actually feeling in my own skin when speaking English, like
Mm,
actually bringing my own personality, being able to be me when I speak English. Because a lot of
yeah,
times I felt like it was a different thing in my mind, and I couldn't like actually behave like I do in Portuguese
I
or
feel that. Yeah.
the same behavior. Yeah, um, and a lot of people say that that's like when you get to that point is when you'll actually reach like probably like the highest level than you can
Yeah.
when you actually feel like yourself speaking a foreign language. Um, and it was only recent, man, because I feel like it's been probably, yeah, I would say 3 to 4 years that I've been pretty advanced, but it's only been like a year from now that I actually feel like I can bring my own personality now into the
Interesting.
language.
Yeah.
Was it similar to you, or because I remember like from the first moment that I talked to you in Portuguese, you sounded like a Brazilian from the start, and having like the same personality traits in both languages, like from the
Mm.
beginning that we started talking. How was that uh, um, process for you of like being able to bring your own self into the language?
Mm. A good question. I guess I don't remember how long I had been learning Portuguese when I met you. I think I started in like 2016. We met maybe at the end of 2017 or 2018, something
Yeah,
like
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
So I had at least a year learning that language, and I already spoke Spanish, so I was comfortable learning foreign languages at that point. And I think that as far as the process of finding your voice, if we can call it that, in a foreign language, I don't know. I never thought about what the process is like, but what I always have done with every language is find a few people that I identify with and that speak in a way that I would like to speak. And so
Oh,
one of them was my good friend Danilo, who's I mean to this day still my friend, and he was the one that encouraged me to start learning Portuguese. He was the one that invited me to go to Brazil in the first place. We met at university like 2014, maybe 15 or something like that. So there was him, also from São Paulo. And like hearing him talk, I was like, damn, this just sounds cool, bro. I want to talk like that. So I just started
yeah.
imitating him. And then I've discovered Racionais through him and discovered Manu
Oh,
Brown. And I like the way he talks and expresses himself. I identify with him on some things. So I was just listening to them all the time and trying to imitate the way that they speak. And so to me, it's two different things. It's like a way of speaking and your personality, because I can imitate the way these people speak, but I still have to be myself. And so once I mastered the cadence and the pattern of speaking and the tones and shit like that, now the structure is there. Then I can just easily like funnel my personality into it, if that makes any sense. Like you have to build
yeah.
this structure first, and then you're just putting yourself into these slots, and it's like a channel through which you get to come out and express yourself. That might not make sense to anybody else, but I think you get what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. That's how I think about languages, bro. It's always me, but it's just like these different, what would you, channels or like different streets that you can walk down. And on every street, they're playing different music. The architecture might be different, but it's still a street and it's still buildings and it's still people walking down those streets. It's still me. It's just like different ways. It's like different flavors of the same drink. I
Yeah,
don't know how else to put it. I don't even
absolutely.
know if that answers your question, but that's how I think about it.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny you bring that up because I remember back when we first met, you were that person that I wanted to like emulate and try to speak like or try to sound close to.
Hmm.
And but it's all a journey, bro. I mean, it's never gonna stop. I catch myself every time when I go like a week or two without listening to the language. I'm like, bro, I'm fucking beginner again.
Yeah,
It's,
man.
it's the whole
Yes.
process. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's so true.
It's just it's one of those cliche sayings, right? You don't use it, you lose it. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, it's so funny you said that because just like probably 2, 3 days ago, I think when I texted you to schedule this pod or whatever, I don't know, whenever, I don't know if it's because when I talk to a Brazilian or I think about something, I hear something, then I just like start thinking in that language. So I started trying to talk to myself in Portuguese, and I was like, God damn, bro, I can still fucking, it's just coming out. I felt so good with myself, bro, because it's been so long since I like actually spoke
Yeah.
consistently to anybody. So the fact that it's still just up there, you know what I mean, accessible, I just pull it down and start using it. It's
Yeah.
not perfect. It's not what it used to be, but it's still there. And I'm like, all right, it's still
Yeah.
there. So at any time I could go back to Brazil or just start talking to Brazilians more, and so much
Yeah.
more will come back. Same thing with Spanish. It's just like, fuck yeah, bro. Because
Feels
like if you go
so
too
good.
long, you start forgetting the most basic shit,
Yeah.
bro. the most basic
Yeah,
shit, and you just feel
absolutely.
horrible. Yeah, it sucks, dude.
Yeah. But it's just like riding a bike, right? You get back on
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
like slowly getting off that rust. But what's happening me what's helping me right now at this moment is writing and reading a lot in English at work because I thought that
Yeah.
wouldn't really help a lot in terms of like speaking, but I feel like it definitely made my vocabulary a lot more like rememberable. Even though I do forget a lot of words, I feel like the words come to me easier as I have more contact with like reading and writing, like typing out emails and stuff like that. That
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot. Like forcing
100%.
yourself to express yourself through writing. That's an ability that I never really thought about when I was learning English. That
Mm-hmm.
really helps in like finding the words and then communicating better.
Yeah, because I mean, writing and thinking are essentially the same thing. Like you can't write until you think, and you're not talking, so it's just all in your head, and then you use your hand to get it out. So you have to slow down and choose your words carefully and figure out what is it I'm actually trying to say. Whereas when you're talking, sometimes you'll just be throwing words out until you figure out what it is you really have to say, and you hear it
Yeah,
sometimes. Like those first 20 seconds was just nonsense. Now we get to hear what
yeah,
you're actually trying to say. When you're writing, you're not just going to be writing random words until you figure out what you want to write. You pause, think,
you have to
and then
think.
write. So you're training yourself just to produce thought after thought in that language. And then reading is just somebody else's thoughts being put into your head. You're scanning the words, and thought after thought
Yeah,
is entering your brain in that language, thus training you to think in that language. So it's not the
yeah,
most exciting or sexy part of learning a language. You want to be able to understand natives and speak like one, but reading and writing will really help you do that, bro. So I found the same thing with like
yeah.
being here in Thailand, especially once I started taking classes. I would come home and write 2 pages every single day. I did that for probably 2 months. And I noticed that just doing that, not only was I able to read shit around the city, but I'm remembering words more easily. I'm learning new words all the time. And so it's like you just pattern recognition. You start to read, because did I show you what Thai looks like? The writing
Bro,
system? You've seen it, right?
that's a nightmare, bro.
It's like what if and once, dude. If I took the time, this would take forever. But if I took the time to explain how it works, bro, it's like,
Bro,
dude. And we
it's
had this like, go ahead, go ahead.
sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna mention that I remember you explaining to me how the same word can be pronounced like maybe 3 to 4 different ways, and
Yes,
they can
bro.
mean
Yes, bro.
4 to 3 different ways. It's like, bro,
Oh my God, it's to this day. I'm just like, why,
why?
why? Who thought this was the most efficient way to express oneself? This is what I don't understand, and that's what I was gonna say. Is like in class, in our Thai classes, we had this running joke, where it's like, who the fuck developed this language? They must have been drunk all day, every day when they were coming up with the rules for the language. Like it's just like this joke we have, because once you study how the language actually works, the way the writing system works and shit, it's just like they set this rule, time passes, and then they set another rule. Time passes, now they set another rule, but it contradicts the first rule. Like, okay, well, that's just an exception for 10% of all of the situations we find ourselves in. The more time passes, they come up with another rule to compensate for the exception that was created out of this probably doesn't make sense, but it's like they have all these different rules being created for the language that contradict each other, and instead of reorganizing shit and standardizing it, they just took all the contradictions and exceptions and just said, this is what it is.
Oh
That's it.
wow,
So there's a bunch of conflicting rules, and like, so you don't even read the words from left to right like you would in our languages. Every letter follows the next one logically, at least in most cases. BAT is bat. DOG, dog. You read it from left to right the same way you wrote it. In Thai, just as an example, instead of BAT, bat, oftentimes it's ABT, but you still read it bat. What the why
what's
would
the
you do
point?
that? What the fuck, bro? And not only that, but sometimes, again, the vowel comes before the consonant when writing, but you still read the consonant before the vowel. And sometimes the vowel is above the consonant. Sometimes it's before. Sometimes it's below. Sometimes it comes after. But you're still reading it the
Oh,
same way.
and it has different meanings depending on where its position.
Well, not, with the vowel shit, it's like it's just like the rule. This is what I'm saying is you pronounce it the same way every time. So let's say the word bat, B-A-T, you're always going to read it that way, but the A might come before the B just because of the rules of the language say that vowel in particular has to come before the consonant when you're writing it. Why? I don't know. That's just the rule. You just have to write it that way, but you still read it, you still say it the way it's supposed to be said. But this vowel
Oh,
has to come, it has to be written before the consonant, even though you read it after the consonant.
oh. But when you're like, if you're reading a book or like reading a journal or something,
Mm-hmm.
you see those variations of like, yeah, that was made using the contradictory way of writing it, and that was written the right way, but both mean the same thing. Do you see those variations, or is it pretty clear to see, like, for example, yeah, that vowel was positioned, it should have been positioned above, it was positioned like the other way around, but I mean,
Oh, I see what you're saying. No, in that regard, there's no inconsistency. Like certain vowels always go in certain places in relation to a consonant. Like there's the A
oh,
sound is always going to be written above the
oh,
consonant in one position. The A sound is always in one position. So that is consistent, but it's just like the inconsistency is the fact that the vowels aren't always in the same place. Like the vowel should always come after the consonant if you pronounce it after the consonant. The word should be written in the way it's spoken. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is the inconsistency is you write it one way, but you read it or say it in another way, and that's just weird. The fact that vowels go in many different places is weird to me. I don't see
bro,
why you would just some of them go below, some above, some to the left, some to the
it's
right.
crazy.
Why are we doing this,
It's
bro?
bro, it's got to be one of those languages that, if that makes any sense, like you'll learn how to speak before you learn how to write or read.
No, literally. That like even when you like we had to take a Thai course for the visa here, that got the student visa. So there's a 7 month language course. The first 3 months is just speaking because and it's like they know if we put them into the writing first, these niggas gonna quit the first fucking week. There's no way they're finishing this course. It's just way too complex, especially for somebody who's never learned a foreign language. Like for me, it's a bit more familiar. I've done this before, and I actually want to learn. But the average person, bro, like if we really just got into it, you'd be like, dude, why the fuck did they decide to do it this way, bro? It doesn't make any sense. So you literally learn to speak before you write. You could learn to speak Thai fantastically without being able to read. You could definitely do that. It'd be harder, but you could definitely do that. But learning to read, bro, without a teacher to explain these things to you, good fucking luck, bro. It's wild. And there's no spaces. Another interesting thing about this language, there's only spaces between sentences, but not between words. So you, for example, I'll pull up on my phone since I got my notes open. Let me show you this
There's
shit,
space
bro.
between sentences, but not between words.
Right. So hold up, where am I? So let
Oh,
me, like this, it starts right here at the top. That
yeah,
cluster right there,
yeah.
that's 3 words. That's 3 words. Sawat, di, kap. That's 3 words. And then
Oh,
there's a space that starts the next idea. One idea, 2 ideas.
oh, okay. So you'll give it a space when a thought ends and another
Exactly.
ends.
Exactly.
Oh,
But that first cluster right there is 3 whole words just put together, and you just have to know where one starts and where where it ends and the next one starts. You just have to know that.
bro, that is insane.
Yeah, like this, that's one fucking sentence right there. ผมอยู่ที่ตึ
Bro,
กที่มีตู้ you know what I'm saying? That's all one sentence, but it's written like it's a word. Look at that shit.
bro. And how do you recognize where a word ends and another begins? It's
You
just
just
like,
have, bro, you just have to fucking read a lot. You just have to read and write a lot to get familiar
bro,
with the words so that you start to understand like this is a logical letter that would be the end of a word. This would be a logical start to another word. This would be a logical cluster because I'm just more
bro.
familiar with the way they write their words, the way they're said. I've heard them, a lot of them so often that I just know that's the end of that word. It just makes sense. But if you've never seen it before, you're like, what's what? Oh, just sounding out the whole thing as if it's one word, hoping that
Wow,
you can recognize some
bro,
of them. You just don't know. You don't know unless somebody
because it all
explains to
look the
you.
same. Like the letters are pretty similar to each other,
Exactly, bro. It's
bro.
so
And what
bizarre.
if you give it like a space like any other language? Do they understand, or is it?
I honestly don't know, but it would be weird. It would be weird. I can say confidently a Thai person would find that weird. Like the first phrase, "Sawat kap," that's it basically means hello, but it's three words. And so if I was writing and split those three, they'd be like, why? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
so
It's not
it's
like
not
they wouldn't
understand,
understand. It's just weird. Like, why are you doing that? We don't do that. You know? It's
bro.
bizarre, man.
It's a level of complexity that it would just never enter my mind. And I was sitting here complaining about Spanish, right?
Yeah, man. I didn't even think
It's
about
just
that. Yeah, Spanish, dude. Any learning any language is hard, bro. And Spanish speakers might be offended when I say something like this, but Spanish is not hard. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, like my Spanish is perfect, because it's far from that. I'm not saying it's perfect. What I'm saying is, if we had to rank them from easiest to hardest, Spanish would be down there near the easier languages to learn because
um,
it's logical. There's consistent patterns that can be followed and repeated so that you can learn the
yeah,
language. The conjugations are always the same. A couple irregular verbs, but they're always the same. For AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs, they're all the same. Pronouns, always the same. Grammar structure, almost always the same. Pronunciation, every letter makes the sound it makes, and that's about it. So you can read any word. You've never seen it before, but you can read it. You can sound it out. That's not the
yeah.
case with English. It's definitely not the case with Thai. If you don't even know what the fucking characters are, French, get the fuck out of here, bro. It's much harder to learn how to say those words properly, how to read that type of stuff. So I think Spanish is easy, but Thai, bro, Mandarin, languages like this that don't just have a different writing system and number like a way to write their numbers, they're also what they call tonal languages, which is what you mentioned earlier. So if I say the word cow, that means rice, that means food. If I say cow, that means white. If I say cow with that tone falling gradually over time, that means the news. If I say it quickly with this rising tone, cow, that means enter. Cow, 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 cow. It's four different words.
Bro,
The fuck? So you need to like learn how to use context and just be consuming the language, using the language all the time, and you'll know in this context when she says cow what she most likely means. Because another thing is Thai people speak very fucking fast. So you don't even hear the difference in tones
the
when they're speaking.
intonation.
They'll just say cow, cow by dai mai. They just cow, king cow. And it just to you,
Oh,
fucking
okay.
foreigner, it's just cow, cow, cow. So you have to use the context to know he's saying, oh, cow, like rice, cow, like white. You just use the context, bro. Fucking A,
Bro,
man. What the hell?
it's one of those languages that you gotta listen to it and then also like visually see what's going on, like by
100%. You gotta
context.
live it, bro. You gotta live this shit. 100%.
Bro, imagine like listening to a podcast in Thai where it's like audio
I've
only.
tried. Yeah, it's rough. It's rough because the
Bro,
other thing is the words are so short. The majority of their words are one, two, maybe three syllables, but most of them are one. Cow, bai, dai, gin, long, hai. They're like one syllable words.
short
So when
words.
they're speaking at a normal speed, da, 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 huh? And you're just sitting there like, could you maybe say that again? Could you maybe decrease the speed for your boy? Because I didn't get any of that shit. Jesus Christ, dude.
Bro, I wonder if there's any similarity to like Chinese and Japanese, for example. 'Cause I know a lot of Thai
Mm,
people do speak Chinese, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, is there
Yeah.
any similarity to the language?
I don't, all I know is that they're both tonal. They each have five tones that you can apply to a word to change the meaning. As far as the writing system, completely different characters and everything. But as far as words, like I have a couple of friends. One is Taiwanese, the other one's half Taiwanese, half Thai, and then the other one is Thai. And whenever we talk about this stuff, when they're speaking their respective languages, there's a couple of words that they can pick out and get an idea, but I don't know if that's because there's any relation or if it's just coincidence that certain words sound similar. But it seems to me they're two
Oh,
completely different languages. Yeah. I don't know if
oh.
there's any relation.
And do they
Um,
sound completely different, or
to
like
me,
when
they
you
do. Yeah, Chinese, Mandarin, or whatever is 我是. It's like I don't know, but when I hear Thai, it sounds like they're singing a song. So what the cop to biking cow, my? It's like it's more like a
oh,
Portuguese or something where it's like they're singing and there's
like
this
the
up and
sounds?
down and up and
Yeah.
down and yeah, it sounds bright and playful almost. Yeah. So to me, Chinese is more like it's like dum 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 duh, duh, you
Yeah,
know, and I don't know what I'm talking about. That's the way it sounds to me when I hear them
yeah,
speaking the two languages. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. There's like a tone of voice to it this that makes
Yeah,
it completely different.
100%. It's
Yeah,
hard to replicate too, bro, because we're speaking like we just say the word, and no matter how you say it, that's the
yeah,
word. If I say basketball, 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 it's just fucking basketball. I don't care how you say it, it's
bro,
basketball. Whereas with Thai, the changing the tone might confuse somebody. You might be saying different words. So it's like when you're learning, already speaking slow and you're trying to replicate the tones. It feels so unnatural, bro. It's even to this day,
bro,
it's hard to do. It's really hard.
bro. Especially because like if you're the type of person that's more like, let's say, monotone, it just wouldn't
Yes,
work
bro. Yes.
because you
Yes.
gotta play with the different like tone of voices and stuff to
Yes,
make it
it's so
work.
true. You made me think of this guy in my Thai class. He's just even in English, bro. He's just kind of always talks like this with every no matter what he's talking about. This is his voice, and I get it. I used to be super monotone as well. I get it. I'm not making fun of him. I'm just saying it's like very distinct. It's like the first thing you notice when talking to him is just that one tone for everything. And then when we're in class and we're going around and people have to speak, it's the same exact thing. Jabai gin Kao Mai Swat D crap. Um Punchia. It's like, yo, it's so hard to listen to in
Yeah,
comparison to a native. It's just like fuck. But you get it because it's really hard, bro, to imitate that shit. It's
yeah.
really hard.
You just can't sit back and relax and talk. Like you gotta put some tone of voice into it to make it like have any meaning in what you're saying, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Bro,
100%.
that's I guess you got your brain to a level where you can learn any language, bro. Like there's no like you opened up a pathway where there's no limits for you right now. Like you've
Mm-hmm.
learned Portuguese and Spanish, which is like completely different than English. And now you've learned a whole new alphabet and like different sounds,
Jesus. Yeah.
tone of voices and stuff. So it's like I think it's a good thing that you did that to yourself because you've also unlocked a certain pathway in your brain
Mm-hmm.
that made you more intelligent, I guess, for sure.
Man, do you think, speaking of that, we probably talked about this before many times, but do you think that maybe certain people like are just built to learn something like foreign languages where other people just based on the way their brain works or their personality, it's just you can do it, but it's going to be so much harder and take so much longer. Like, do you think that certain people for what and I have a theory on this, but I want to hear what you have to think about this. You think for some people it's just like, yo, dude, you could do it, but it's most likely not going to happen because of the way
Yeah,
you are or the way you think. And other people it's just a breeze because their mind works differently.
yeah, bro. I used to think that yeah. Let me break it down. Um,
Take your time, man. Take your time.
yeah. Uh, I guess the last time we spoke about it, I remember saying that there is probably a reason that somebody might be very, very good at it, and then maybe another person from like the same age, same like came from the same educational resource and stuff like that. They have different abilities. I used to think that it was some sort of like natural talent going on, like they're built or they have like a predisposition or they're
Right.
predisposed for that. But lately, I've been thinking about it, and I'm more inclined to believe. or to attribute that to age now. Because I like every person that I've seen that speak very, very good English or any other language, they're always young people. Or when you
Yeah.
ask, like, when did you start to learn? It's always like late 20s max. Like, it's never like, oh, I was like 30 or 40 and then I started to learn English. It's always like they started at a very young age. And you know how there's that theory of like the earlier your brain is, the easier it soaks in information and it's
Yeah.
easier to adapt and learn new things. So I'm more inclined to believe that it's something about age nowadays. It's like I started learning English when I was 16, 15, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, if I started at like 12, I would have had a different result. If I started at like just being a kid, it would be like almost perfect.
Yeah.
And if I started later, maybe like right now at this point, like 25, it will be like pronunciation will be worse, my accent will be thicker, I have more difficult. Yeah, that's my theory right now. Like it's more about age than about natural talent, I believe.
Mhm.
Based upon like the people that I've seen learn languages and then the time frame in their lifetime in which they started to learn, it makes a lot of sense, you know? Because I've never seen somebody that is like an old person and then they started learning at a like at a later stage in their life and they became very good at it. Like most
Yeah.
people that I see that have difficulty with it, they're in their late like 30, 40s or old people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think it might have something to do with that? Does it make any sense to you?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, of course. I think speaking specifically about age, it's kind of like twofold. One, just generally speaking, as you get older, your brain doesn't function like it once did. Generally speaking, obviously, you can eat right foods and work out and do all that, but most of us, let's be real, bro, that's not happening. So I
Yeah.
think that's one part of it. But also, it made me think of this. I'm gonna see if I can find it on my phone. This quote from Thomas Saz. Because I think I might have posted it recently that exemplifies what you're talking about perfectly, which is the other half of this. Where is it? Yes, right here. So this guy says every act of conscious learning requires the willingness to suffer an injury to one's self esteem. That is why young children, before they are aware of their own self importance, learn so easily, and why older persons, especially if vain or important, cannot learn at all. And I think that's
Oh,
the second
wow.
half of it, which
Yeah.
is you just don't have the same level of ego
Absolutely.
that you have when you get older. You're not
Bro.
like as easily embarrassed. You're not worried about what other people think. You're not afraid
Yeah.
to make mistakes. You're just curious and you want to learn. So you just do shit just to do it. It's much easier to imitate whatever's happening around you or how people talk. And if you make a mistake, you get corrected. All right, now I know. But a
Yeah.
45-year-old dude, a 50, 60-year-old dude, especially somebody that works in an important position in their company or they're the head of a family, they think of themselves as I'm big, I'm important, I know everything, I would never make a mistake. They have such big, fragile egos that just the idea of being reduced to a beginner's level and sounding like a fucking child when trying to express yourself, it's unbearable. They
Yeah.
can't take it. You know what I mean? Or they're just like, they're, and this goes more like the way your brain works. I think some people are not necessarily capable of thinking about things or seeing things in more than one way. So they only know how to communicate in this way, walk down this street, use these words and this tone, and that's all they can fucking do. To have to
Yeah.
think in a different way, to form a sentence in a different way, or choose different words, be indirect or more direct, shit like that. Fuck all that. I know this.
Yeah.
That's it. They can't think more abstractly. They're not as open minded to
Yeah.
doing and seeing things or expressing themselves in a different way. So I think that also plays a major part in the inability to
Absolutely.
learn. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Man, I never thought about. I never. No, I'm getting to. beginning
Yeah,
to get
I noticed
Brazilian
earlier we've
words
been
down.
going for like
Yeah.
3 fucking hours, man. We started with pet peeves like an hour ago, and just never got to it.
Yeah.
Just let it flow, bro. three
It's always
hours,
like
man.
that, bro. Like we
Yeah, man.
don't even see time passing by. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I was
man.
gonna say, I never thought about it that way. Like the ego thing plays a huge part in
Of
learning a language.
course, yeah.
Like, and maybe that's the reason that like the second language is easier to learn than the first one and then the third one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Definitely.
because you you start to realize that's just part of the game. It's
Yeah.
part of the process. Like I have to put my ego aside for a moment so that I can actually make progress. Like I am gonna sound like a baby for a few months. Like it's
Yeah.
part of the process. I accept that. And then being able to break down that ego once you know that, it just changes the game. Um, now for somebody that's first learning a language or that's maybe too old or too like traditional or they have that position of power that they want to protect, yeah, it might be difficult to do that. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, man, I guess it's a combination of things. I guess there is a bit of talent when it comes to the accent thing, not learning a language specific, but I guess like being able to mimic and reproduce sounds.
Yeah.
There's definitely a talent for it. Just like when you have a talent for what's it called in English? Like the people that dub like other languages and stuff.
Oh, voice actors, right?
Voice actors, yeah.
Yeah.
Like they make different voices and tonal voices and stuff like that.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's a talent. So yeah, I guess being able to sound like a native or pronounce words perfectly, that is definitely a talent for sure.
Agreed. Yeah.
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 Learning itself, I'm not sure, but yeah, sounding like good, like having that clear, perfectly pronounced English or any other
Mm-hmm.
language, I feel like that's a talent for sure. Just like you, for example, like you've learned Portuguese to a point where, like, if you come to Brazil, you pass as a Brazilian easily.
Mm-hmm.
And you've mentioned to me before that you had that like interest for acting and for imitating and reproducing sounds and stuff like that. So there's definitely a a a thing about it for like being able to replicate sounds and imitate people for sure.
100%. Yeah, that's the last thing I was going to say. Like a big part of my theory on it, why some people just excel while others don't, is you said it perfectly, which as far as learning, some people are better at learning certain things or in certain ways. That's definitely true. But I think the average person, if they have no learning disorder or disability or something like that, can learn to speak a foreign language, bro. It might be
Yeah.
hard, it might be painful, it might take years to do it, but you can definitely do it. Even if you don't sound like a native, you speak the language perfectly fine. Everyone understands you and you understand everyone. But I guess when it comes to like picking up the language very quickly and also sounding like a native, using the expressions in the way that they do, being able to act in a way that's culturally normal to them, not just the words, but the way that you behave and treat people and look at them and stuff, all that is culture too, which is attached
Yeah.
to our language. And I think you touched on it, which is the acting thing. I really am starting to think that some people have a very like flexible, some people might say unstable. I prefer the word flexible sense of self. And what I mean is for a
Yeah.
lot of people, they we all go through the process of developing who we are or whatever as kids and adolescents, and then you come into adulthood and you've more or less decided who you're going to be, or at least you have these behavior patterns that determine who you are. But for people like myself and other people who just excel very quickly at that kind of thing, and they're good at imitating a bunch of different kinds of people, different sounds, different ways of behaving, I think it is a lack, this, you don't have a strong sense of self. You're kind of like fluid or flexible, not in the political way that people like to use that word these days. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah.
I just mean that you adapt to a lot of different situations, and I can be this way if I have to be. I can be that way if I have to be. I can imitate this style and that style, and
Yeah.
you see the patterns or the little pieces that comprise somebody's personality or behavior. And once
Yeah.
you recognize those things, you can kind of like just take them and like plug them in and start acting like that. You know what I mean? And so I
Yeah,
think that I don't know if it's a talent, but I think it's a capacity that not everyone has,
absolutely.
and it's
Yeah,
definitely part of what allows me to learn languages a bit more easily than the average person.
I agree 100%. Yeah, you said it perfectly, man. It's an ability to adapt and to be flexible in your own behavior, let's say, because
Yeah,
when you do it long enough, it becomes part of you as well.
exactly.
Like you're gonna spend a while, uh, like actually being conscious of it. Like, oh, I'm actually trying to imitate an American, but there's going to be a point where it just becomes part of you. It
Exactly.
just you don't have to force it anymore. And it is, man. It definitely is a talent. It, there's a very yeah. He's not famous in Brazil, but there's this guy called Igor Guedes. He's a comedian in Brazil,
Uh-huh.
and he's like very good at like impersonating people.
Mm,
Have you seen like one of those guys that like, oh, I'm going to imitate Tony, for example, and I
I have.
act exactly like you,
Yeah.
bro? This fucking guy, bro. Like if you don't look at the video, if you're just listening, like you can't tell that that's
Mm.
not the person. Like it's just amazing to see, bro. Amazing, fucking amazing. And the one thing that really caught my attention is that when there's one time where he was being interviewed in English, and his accent was like perfect, like on point. He just sounded like an American, and I kind of made that correlation to yeah, he's good at impersonating a bunch of people, like a bunch of famous people. So he
Mhm.
he attached that to like an American person, like he's able to impersonate an American person perfectly. And
Mhm.
he even impersonates like famous American people like Ronnie Coleman and few American actors as well. And it's just on point with the voice and then the accent. He even does like different kinds of accents. Like he does like the Ronnie Coleman accent, which is, I guess, it's from Michigan, and then he does like a super like Hollywood actor, like
Mhm.
very good. And the fact that he can speak English perfectly really made me attach those things. Like obviously he's going to be able to make like perfect American accent. It's just a talent
Mhm.
that he has. And you know what's funny? When people ask him like, how do you like what's the process of impersonating somebody? Like
Mhm.
what are the skills that you need to have? What do you do like to begin with? And he's like, I just sit down for 10 minutes and observe the way that that person is talking. And before I know it, I'm being that person. It's
Yeah.
just so it's something about his brain that is able to like it's what you said, flex and then adapt to that
Mhm.
reality that he's seeing. And it's just it is a talent for sure. It's not something that he can teach or show, oh, use this
Exactly.
technique and that you do and that. It's unexplainable. It's just part of who he is, his brain.
Man, that's crazy, bro. It's crazy when you come across people that can do shit like that. It's just
It's
anybody.
crazy.
Then, like you said, 10 minutes of film, and they're just acting like
Yeah.
that person. Is fucking crazy,
And you know
dude.
what's funny? There's a lot of like famous guys in Brazil. You always have like the ones that everybody imitates, right? Like
Mm.
very unique tone of voice or very unique personality that it's easy to imitate. And those people, like he's not able to do. He's like, nah, I'm not be like almost everyone can do them, but he can't because it's like
Interesting.
he says something about like his throat and then his tone of voice that has to like match with the person he's trying to imitate. Otherwise, he can't really
Ah, okay.
reproduce that. So there's a lot of people that he's like, nah, I can't
Interesting.
do that. But then he has like a collection of he mentioned something about 50 personas that like he can
Oh shit.
impersonate. So he's like he even makes a joke about it, like, "I'm 50 different persons inside of me because that's all I do, like, all day." Like,
Wow, man.
I spend 10 minutes behaving like somebody. Bro, I'll send you a link to that. You're gonna find it, like,
Please.
it's just insane. Fucking insane.
It's a perfect example, though, of exactly what we're
Yeah.
talking about. And it's you said it perfectly, which is like, bro, that's not something you can really teach somebody how to do. I mean, this the podcast, bro, trying to tell people like what's the best way to learn a language, what tactics do I use, and what's my methodology and everything. I'm like, I don't know how to teach y'all that, bro. I'm not like that where it's just 10 minutes and okay, I'm acting like this person. That's not what I'm talking about. I just mean sitting back and observing what it is that makes somebody them, the way they talk, like the pauses in between their sentences, their tone of voice, the words they choose, where they're from, how old they are. All of this influences how you talk. And although a lot of people learn how to talk just by imitating those around them, many of us do develop our own particular way of expressing ourselves. Or you can easily identify somebody from Salvador or Sao Paulo or New
Yeah.
York or Miami or LA, wherever it may be, or certain ways of talking, and you can like break it down to see what is it that makes it that way. And once you can see it, you just kind of like take it in and you just start doing it. It takes
Yeah.
practice, but that's literally like I fucking hate sitting in a chair reading a book about the language or watching YouTube and
Nah,
fucking
I
seven
can't.
verbs for a restaurant. I don't give a
Uh,
fuck, bro. That shit is boring. I want to
nah.
talk to people. I want to like fucking drink. This sounds so weird, but drink them in, absorb them
Yeah.
in terms of personality and energy. And then, like, over time, I'll learn words and phrases. I know that's important, but what's much more important is
Yeah.
interacting with people because you want to learn how to talk like those people. You can't do that reading a book, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. And you definitely have that. From what I've seen and observed about you, you definitely have that talent for sure. From what I've seen with Portuguese, like, I don't think I've ever heard like somebody speak Portuguese as a second language and then sound so close to like a Brazilian the way you do. And that's something that I'm not sure about Spanish because I'm not a native. I can't like know for sure how you sound. But Portuguese, bro, you have mastered it for sure.
Well, thank you, man.
So you have mastered it. Bro,
Oh,
you just
man.
said it, like you were going out with a girl and it took her a while for her to find out that you're Brazilian. That's crazy to me.
Ah, well, I
It's,
mean, you're right, but that one was the waitress didn't know
oh,
I
the
was
waitress.
Brazilian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, I've talked to plenty of girls, bro, and like I'll get, especially when we were on the language exchange apps and shit, or even something like Tinder, and you actually get on the phone with one of these girls, and they immediately I start talking, they're like, "You're Brazilian," even though I say I'm American.
Oh,
My
wow.
profile says American on whatever app it is, and then I start talking, they're like, "You're a fucking Brazilian. Stop playing." They get it all
Wow.
the time. And I have to like
Yeah,
prove to
this
them. I have to spend time proving to them that I was born and raised in the US, bro. I'm like, what do I have to
is
what the
so
fuck?
insane,
And that's when
bro.
I learned there's this weird group of people that are pretending to be American. Because they
Yeah,
said that they've met other guys like that who say they're American when they're
there's
really not.
that
I'm like, who the fuck is out here trying
there's
to
definitely
pretend to
that.
be? What the fuck is that,
Yeah.
bro? That's weird, dude. That's
Yeah,
some weird
they
shit.
take advantage of the fact that a lot of people are, like, beginners and they can't tell, like, a native
But
from,
but
like
why? What do you
yeah,
gain
I
from
mean,
that?
yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's just
That's
weird. It's
weird.
just
That's fucking weird, bro. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Bro,
man.
it's such an interesting talent to have, man. Because I've also heard, you know how there's two different versions of like broken English? Like there's that broken English where like you just can't understand anything, like it just doesn't make any sense. There's one type of broken English where the pronunciation is a little bit off, but the structure of like how they choose the words and then the sentences is just perfect. It's just perfect English.
Mm.
If they will be like typing, or if you would be like reading what they say, like or subtitled or something, it's just
Mm-hmm.
on point, perfect. But they
Yeah.
pronounce it kind of weird, or it just comes
Yeah,
up
yeah.
very, very thick accent. That's an example of somebody that has a strong ability to learn but does not have the talent to like impersonate or to imitate and reproduce
Exactly.
sounds.
Yeah.
It's a total different skill that I feel like for somebody like you, it has to like for somebody to become like, let's say, to speak perfect English or perfect Portuguese like you, it has to match like the ability to learn a new thing, a difficult thing, and then the ability to imitate and replicate
Mm,
sounds. And when you combine those, it's like just it sounds Brazilian or always
yeah.
sounds American, you know, which
Yeah,
is
bro,
super hard.
and it hurts my heart, bro, that the majority, practically all of Latin America, except for a few countries, including Brazil, they speak Spanish. Like, why couldn't the Portuguese fucking,
Oh man,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? Colonize. Why couldn't the
yeah,
Portuguese? It's like, why isn't that more widely spoken than Spanish? I mean, I love Spanish too. It's a beautiful language, man. But I
I
don't
agree.
know, bro. If I had to choose which one I'd rather speak every day, which one is just more satisfying? Specifically
Yeah,
Brazilian Portuguese. Specifically Brazilian. I know that there's the other type.
there's that. Yeah,
Um, no disrespect to the Portuguese listening. It just doesn't. It like, come on, bro. It just
yeah,
doesn't sound. I don't
yeah.
know. The first time I heard it, I thought it was Russian or something. I thought it was some Slavic language. I'm like, there's no way this nigga's speaking
So
Portuguese, bro. But then I actually paid attention. I'm like, oh shit, this nigga's saying Portuguese words.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. It's so different. Because what's funny is like Latin American Spanish and I guess we can call it Latin American Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese, sound like cousins. You can tell that they come from the same place. You can understand a lot of the same words or whatever. They sound close. Spanish from Spain and Portuguese from Portugal sound nothing alike. Not even
oh, I
close.
see what
So
you
it's like,
mean.
why is
Yeah,
that? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
It's
And
strange.
what's even stranger is that there's a few times where when you listen to Spanish, it sounds a bit more of a cousin than, let's say, Portuguese from Portugal.
That's what
That's
I'm
like
saying.
the
Yes,
same language,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. It's so
So
weird, man.
weird.
Like the guy that I'm renting this place with, like the guy that owns this place that I'm renting is
Mm-hmm.
actually from Portugal. He's Portuguese,
Okay.
and I've had a few conversations with him to like resolve some bureaucracy and stuff. And dude, it's so weird to like have somebody understand me and then understand what they're saying, but it's like it doesn't feel like we're connected. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's just yeah, like it's a different language and it's not. It's just I guess the same
100%.
or it's a similar feeling that you get. I don't know when you talk to somebody from England or something. Uh,
Somebody from
it's
Scotland, I mean, or Northern Ireland or some shit. I'm just like,
yeah, like you can understand them, like you can have a conversation.
yeah.
It's like
I'm like, is
something's
that
off.
is
Yeah,
that actually English you're speaking? What the fuck is that, bro? Where'd you get that from? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's
yeah,
I know exactly what you mean. And I remember I taught English to a woman who was Portuguese, but her family was from Angola. And so she spoke like with the typical Portuguese accent. And she was black, beautiful black woman. And like that already for me is a mind fuck. Anytime I see somebody who looks like her speaking a language like Portuguese, coming from America, where it's like we
yeah,
have everything and everybody speaks English, I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? What the fuck is this? So that was already blowing my mind. But then, like in one of our first conversations, she was talking in English, and then for some reason we switched to Portuguese, and just like the accent that she was talking with, I'm sitting there like, I understand, like you said, I understand what she's saying, but I'm like, what?
yeah.
Why
It's
does it sound like that? Tu vais aquele que está bem. I'm like,
yeah, yeah. It's
what?
just
You know what I mean? It takes a few seconds for you to really like get accustomed to it and you're like, okay, I'm fucking here now and I understand everything she's saying. But if she just hits you with that shit, you're like, what is that, bro? Why do I
yeah,
understand it but don't understand it? It's weird.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
And they can understand you as well. It's like,
perfectly.
yeah, it's just weird, man. That
So
was the first
interesting.
time I ever had a chance to talk to somebody from Portugal, and it was a crazy experience, man. Like at first, I was like, man, this is going to be weird. Am I actually? I mean, obviously, I'm going to understand, but it's like a lot of words are different, like
Yeah.
tone of voice and stuff. They have this reputation as well to be a lot more direct and kind of rude sometimes.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it's crazy. We don't have that much of an advantage like other Latin people. Like, can you imagine like if you're born in a Spanish speaking country, all you have to do is learn English and you're all set. Like
Yeah.
you can travel the whole world and you're you're good.
It's interesting, isn't it, that like English, I believe, is the most widely spoken. It's top three. I think it's Mandarin because there's like what, how many billions of them? Like one point, I don't know how many billion. Then it's English, maybe, or maybe Spanish is number two, and then I think it's English or something like that. So if you get English and Spanish, like you got half the world covered,
Yeah,
or at least a third. I don't know, but you got a big part of the world covered, especially with English, because everywhere you go, you're going to find somebody who speaks some decent English. And if you speak Spanish from
yeah,
Mexico down to Argentina, you're pretty much covered. But Portuguese, where are you going to speak that outside of Brazil and Portugal,
yeah,
Angola, Mozambique, Timor Leste? I mean, like, where else are you gonna
yeah.
fucking use
And
that
like
shit?
I'm I'm hardly ever go to those places, so it's like not
And
really used.
if you're a Portuguese speaker, you can understand a good amount of what a Spanish speaker is saying to you. If you're a Portuguese speaker speaking to a Spanish speaker, they really don't understand much, which is interesting.
Yeah,
I'm sure we might have
yeah,
talked about that before, but that's another thing is like you don't even speak their language, but you can understand a lot. But you go to a Spanish speaking country speaking Portuguese, and they're like, all right, hold on, Gene, you fucking get it together, bro. We speak Spanish here. You know what I mean? It doesn't translate the
yeah,
same way.
yeah, yeah. Maybe that's because yeah, I'm not sure how much contact they have with Portuguese, like in Latin American countries. Like
Yeah.
for us in Brazil, we do have some type of contact with Spanish growing up. Like
Mm.
uh, first in school, like every school, you get to a certain point where English and Spanish is taught.
Ah,
I mean,
okay.
nobody really gives a shit, but you learn a few like the word here and there.
Yeah,
You know how it sounds. Uh, Soccer is a big influence on that as well, because I
of
mean
course.
the whole rivalry with Brazil is like the
Yeah.
Argentina football.
Yeah.
There's that as well. You grow up listening to interviews of Argentina soccer players and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, Also, there's Chaves, which is like a huge in Brazil. Not sure if you heard about it. They're like this
Sounds
Mexican,
familiar. Oh,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Um, very big in Brazil. Like kids grow up watching it. Now, from their perspective, like, what is it about Brazilian culture that they have any contact with?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, that might be a reason why we have more. Um, yeah,
Interesting.
they have more difficulty to understand. Yeah.
I also think that part of it could be that practically every sound that exists in Spanish exists in Portuguese, but
Yeah.
not every sound that exists in Portuguese exists in Spanish. So maybe that's why all the sounds they're familiar with are getting lost in between the ones that they're not familiar with. And they're like, it sounds familiar because I remember when I learned Spanish, I started learning Portuguese. And actually, no, I hadn't even started learning yet. I heard some video, some Brazilian dude speaking Portuguese. And I'm like, I thought he was speaking Spanish with a weird accent from some country I had never heard of. So I'm like, why does this
Um,
sound so familiar, but I don't understand shit he's saying? Like, what the fuck? Then I started learning Portuguese, and obviously I'm like, okay, now I get it. But back then, it sounded so familiar, but I didn't understand shit. It was really weird.
and at that time you already spoke Spanish, like
Yeah, I
you
spoke Spanish fine, but it had not even begun to learn Portuguese. I think I
uh,
just saw a random video on Facebook or something.
they sounded pretty close. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, I was like, something is like just out of reach. Like, I almost fucking got it. It's like,
yeah.
it sounds so familiar, but I don't know what he said. I don't know what that is, but I feel like I
Absolutely.
know what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just a very strange feeling.
yeah, for sure. We have that advantage for sure. Of like it's hard to find a sound that does not exist in Portuguese. And also, man, there's also the accent thing where, like, I'm sure you've heard about like people from Minas Gerais and then Paulistas. They have like a more
Hmm.
it's easier for them to like imitate an American accent because like Porta,
Yeah, yeah,
like they
yeah,
have an R sound that's closer to an American.
yeah, yeah,
And then like you have somebody from Nordeste that's like pop,
yeah.
or
Oh
so
god,
it's the sound that you're most used to replicating, it's gonna be it definitely
that's
has.
so interesting, bro. Man, we could. Ah, dude, language is just fucking
It's such a
fascinating.
broad topic, right?
Yeah, man.
And all night
Yeah.
talking about it. Yeah.
And you know what's funny, bro? I had like we just you saying that thing about the football culture in Brazil. Maybe that's something that Latin Americans might be familiar with and stuff. There's so many other things that come to mind about things I don't understand about Brazilian culture. So many other dude, I told you I got a list of fucking pet peeves. Didn't even get to recommendations, bro. But
Bro,
I think
yeah.
it's a good time to go ahead and get up out of here, man. But now that you got your new place, you're working from home, bro. You can do this shit on the regular, man. And maybe that'll be like a segment that we do every time. Pet peeves,
Absolutely.
recommendations, shout out, shit
Yeah.
like that.
I
Cause
like that.
dude, there's so
Yeah.
many.
I'll definitely have a lot more pet peeves than
Oh
Rex
man.
before.
Yeah. I think you're like me in the sense that dude, you can easily find some shit to be irritated about. You know what I mean? It's just every fucking day.
Yeah, I got a
Every
lot to
day, bro.
complain for sure, yeah.
Yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
man, as
It
always,
was
my brother, good to have you back on the
great
pod.
episode, man.
Looking forward to
Good
having you
good
back
to be
soon,
back.
man.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.